All right, greetings, Moors. Welcome to this important meeting that the Empire has called upon. This is our part 2 meeting of yesterday's recording. Today's date is October 7th, 2025. The time is approximately 5:11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Just to open up, I'll open up briefly before yielding the floor to the Sultan. By stating that yesterday's meeting, it's pretty lengthy. However, there's still a lot to weigh out here, especially as it relates to due process. We can all learn from these moments, especially considering the fact that the Empire of Morocco is in dire need of certain positions, and these certain positions have everything to do with what's going on right now. So all of us, even though many of us may not know what position in the empire we may be by next week, but it's important to pay attention to this entire due process, and so that way, if at any other time there's a state of emergency, we know where the confusion is, we know where it's coming from, we know how to cut it down, etc. That's very, very important to learn from. Those who been around long enough to see the several states of emergencies that we've had, we now know that this state of emergency is the most honest and transparent state of emergency that we can measure out, meaning that the due process in this very moment in time is the due process opposed to the other ones that we have to study. There was a lot of information left out in the other due processes. It made things not clear, lawful. So I say all this to say that some of us may not be the positions we were yesterday due to the empire calling for activity, calling for more accountability, calling for more presence, calling for more people, right? We need we need offices to be held, which means that, again, this is not your activity yesterday is not the activity you'll be doing tomorrow, right? So as we go through explaining this due process tonight here and merging into the solutions, which will be a lot simpler than we were before, which is a big help. It will be a lot simpler. However, that does not mean we do not need to be as poised, or we need to be even more poised. So I know I was pretty vague, but just be aware that any of our positions, some of our positions will change here in these next few days, which is calling again for more accountability, more activity. We need a lot of documents done again, still, since they want to run off with some. So we need not only the presence, we need to hear y'all. We need to see y'all, right? We need to see what y'all documents look like, right? Put your suggestions out there. That's what was not accepted, I should say, before, was the many suggestions, the good suggestions. So please, please do not be scared to speak your mind. And furthermore, do not be scared to be who you are, which is whatever elected or appointed official you may be. That's who you are, right? So with that, I'll yield the floor to the Sultan, so we can get this meeting to the next phase.
Zoo Prime. Peace and love, everybody. We find ourselves here, restructuring, reorganizing the empire in many ways, uh, structurally and directionally. Um, we're going in a different direction. We're going in a more linear direction, a linear path, sort of like a bullet train, rather than swirling around, going to going left, right, upside down, down and up, and all around to get to the destination. It's a waste of time. We're gonna deal with the problem. We're gonna try to do it as the problem being colonialism. We want to do it in an efficient and in a less cumbersome way. But before we even get there, we need to now begin to understand um what made this a coup d'état. This is a great learning moment um for all of us. One thing that was being spun is that the Sultan is committing a coup d'état on the empire. Uh, that's weird. And this is where you got to start to understand political science. I mean, it's impossible for a head of state. The whole purpose in committing a coup d'état is to seize power from the head of state. So why would the head of state seize power for himself, for herself? These are things we gotta. Yesterday it was mentioned they're gonna come after us for treason. Well, treason is when you're working with another country against your own. Good luck proving that. Um, and they don't have a legitimate base to work off of because it's a new regime that's currently being instituted and inaugurated, separate from the empire. Yesterday, I received a link. I received the link. Me, the consul general who will be moving into the attorney general position, and the prime minister received a link from the same people who excommunicated us. So let me get this straight. You excommunicated us to recommunicate us. Make that make sense. So Article 18 talks about that, interfering with the uh, Article 18. Hold on a second. Let's read it. What happened here? Okay. Article 18.
Real quick, so I think I gotta make you the host because I don't see a
Oh,
screen.
I'm not sharing the screen, but
Oh, okay.
you can make me the host though, and I'll share the screen.
Okay, you're not a host.
Okay. Let me pull it up. Where are we? Okay, here we go. So what does it's coming out? Okay, here we go. You all see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what caused this? What happened? What happened in accordance to the Constitution? Let's highlight that. How can the Prime Minister properly do his job? You see what's highlighted? Proper functioning of the constitutional public authorities is interrupted. I mean, where the situations of the institutions of the government, the independence of the empire, the integrity of its territory, or the fulfillment of its international commitments are under serious and immediate threat, and where the proper functioning of the constitutional public authorities is interrupted. The Sharif and Majesty shall take measures required by these circumstances after formally consulting the Prime Minister, Speaker of the House, and the Constitutional Council. So the circumstances that we find ourselves into or find ourselves in meets and exceeds the requirements to call for a state of emergency. You see? And what they've done, rather than to answer his question here, right here in this affidavit, instead of answering the questions laid out in this affidavit, we're not going to spend all day with this either, just to make the point before the Attorney General get to explaining things. As you see here, was highlighted. I'm trying to highlight it, and it's not helping me. But you see that right there. Yeah. Summon. What does the summons say? The named officials, Nobel Duell, DeAndre Jay Bey, and J. Jermaine Bey, to provide sworn testimony before the council. That's due process that's being afforded to them. So they disregard my investigation that's based in due process, and they go with and they move forward with the conspiracy. Okay, so what they do, double down and triple down and quadruple down. So you just said you disregard the directives of the Sultan. That was just absolutely disrespectful. Absolutely disrespectful. And a good amount of the recognized states, except one, so basically all of them, decided to go in that direction because he did all the work. Okay, well then you're proving to me that you're unfit to lead because your oath was taken to the Constitution and not somebody's work. So because of the incompetency and the emotional um, uh, approach, because it's an emotional approach. We're talking about my name. Al-Kabir means the great, and he thinks he's Allah, and all these things that has nothing to do with law. But this man says that he's the man of law. In every argument that he, I guess, perceive himself to be in, he uses the law. He says he's going to crush everyone using the law. Crush the grand sheiks using the law. On a Monday call, he said, my background, because of my background, people don't understand they can't battle testing because of my background. I crush anyone. Well, is it going to be done based in the true sense of the law? Meaning, is it going to be an honest win or a win based on trickery? Well, I'll let y'all be the judge once you see this Saturday Night Live parody kangaroo court that the Attorney General is getting ready to break down and decipher for you all. I yield to the Attorney General. Thank
you. Grand evening to you all. My only question here is, Sultan, are you going to narrate for me? Are you going to navigate for me, or is the Prime Minister?
I think it was supposed to be the Prime, wasn't it? Didn't you
Yeah,
send him all the documents?
Yeah, so Prime, can you take back the host um, and are you prepared with the documents to bring the documents up as I need
them? Those are the documents I actually emailed to the Sultan. I'll so he can share them on his screen. I'll be actually home within the next 30 minutes to share them on my laptop. But Sultan, if you check your email, I sent you all the documents that
Which one do you need?
Yeah, this is one of the particular documents here. I need the court hearing. Yeah,
okay.
I need the court hearing and the Constitution. So this document, the court hearing, a so-called court hearing, and the Constitution. We're going to navigate through this. So you can and I'm okay with starting with this document.
This one?
Yes.
It's not showing. No, it's not showing. What I got pulled up is their. Hold on. Let me stop it.
Okay. So and then can you please pull up that affidavit? Just the
I'm not gonna.
affidavit is,
You want me to put them up separately?
yeah. So when I ask for
Okay.
them, we're just going to go back and forth between the documents. The
Okay.
Moors will
Hold on.
be
Let
able
me
to
see.
keep up. So the first
Okay.
one I want to start with is the affidavit of constitutional breach and sedition.
Okay.
Let's start there
Okay.
because
Let me-
they have to understand where it all started from. So let's start there.
All right. Let's start with the affidavit. Well, that's it right here.
Okay. Uh, we see your screen, so this is the complaint
Oh
application.
man, I don't know what's up with this. Okay. It's not
You're okay.
automatically sharing. I have to keep stopping to share again.
Oh, okay, okay.
Don't
Well,
worry.
let's start with this. Yeah, no, no problem.
No. I've already did it. Don't worry about it. Just come on. I
Okay,
already did it. There you
good.
go. Right
Okay. So, Morris, you can see the screen, correct?
Yes.
So this is uh, the October 1st, 2025. This is when you're Sultan. You have to understand the streamlines on how things were done correctly, and then on how things started to unravel with certain so-called court proceedings. So right off the bat, because we could not come to a mediation, because certain parties could not come to a mediation, and certain things were done, the Sultan of the Empire, Morocco's job is to protect the people as well as the Constitution. So there were bad actors breaching the Constitution. So from the office of the Sultan, and I'm pretty sure most of you have not seen this document. Take yourselves off of mute if this is the first time seeing this document.
It's my first time seeing this document.
Okay,
The link obey.
good. So has anybody from IMA ever seen this document?
Yeah, we seen those documents, and we was told to read all the documents too before the meeting yesterday.
Correct.
So yeah,
Sir,
we,
seen
we
them
have
documents.
seen.
Correct.
Well, let's be clear. Who showed you this document? Did they show these documents, or did you guys see this document through us?
We seen it through
That's
y'all. Y'all sent the email for the link, and y'all
that's
asked us to read
Good.
those documents and study them
that's
Correct.
what.
before the meeting.
So
So I think what
and
the real question. Go ahead.
we appreciate that. So let's continue. So as you can see, once the Sultan recognized that we had some bad actors, the Sultan said, okay, I need to bring in the Consul General. A Consul General is what you call an international, from our perspective, is the international law attorney, i.e. top cop. His job is to investigate any constitutional crisis or sedition within the Empire of Morocco. So if you guys remember from the past one Monday night call, it was said to, if you have a problem with anything, just write an affidavit. Am I right or wrong? So now the Sultan says, not a problem. I'm going to write an affidavit on behalf of our state. So this is an affidavit of truth and declaration of constitutional breach by His Majesty the Sultan Abdul Al-Kabir, sovereign of the Empire of Morocco, before the Constitutional Council and the people of the empire. So go down for me a little bit.
Tell me when to stop.
Okay, go back up for me, please. Continue, keep going, keep going. Okay, right there. So before the Constitutional Council and the people of the empire, well, we're all the people. By the grace of Almighty and the will of the people, the Sultan of the Empire, Morocco, and absolute sovereign authority thereof, hereby issues this affidavit of truth in the capacity as the guarantor of the Constitution, because the Sultan signed the Constitution. The interim prime minister, as y'all international law attorney, did not sign the Constitution. The Sultan, who's on your phone right now, signed your Constitution and signed your law. The independence of the judiciary and the reign of order and justice throughout our domains. Not his domains, our domains. So let's get to the preliminary statement, because you guys have all heard of a preliminary objection. So let's get to the preliminary statement. This affidavit is submitted to bring to the attention of the Constitutional Council. Now let's talk about the Constitutional Council. They stated on the record that the Constitutional Council, because we didn't really have one, was going to go through the judiciary branch. But at this apparent time, the Constitutional Council couldn't go through the judiciary branch because there were three members of the judiciary branch that could not show impartiality. The first person was Dominique Ill, associate judge. The so-called second judge in line, which was Isaac Bey. And then this affidavit here puts the Chief Judge Jay Bey into an investigation. So that left 3 judges. But because J. Jermaine Bey took a recording from a Wazir Regional Council call, which is, I'm going to ask the question to the floor. Is J. Jermaine Bey, as the Chief Judge of the Empire of Morocco, is he a politician? Is he in politics?
No, he's not.
Oh. So you have to understand, how did he get this recording from the Wazir Regional Council? Who is the head of the Wazir Regional Council? Who was the head of the Wazir Regional Council, if I may say?
Clarity Wazir Council. Not the
Wazir Council. Who was the head of the Wazir Council?
Wasn't it Dre?
Dre, your prime minister, gave the recording to the Chief Judge Jay Bey. At that particular time, the Chief Judge Jay Bey made himself complicit, and that's how Dre Bey became complicit of the external crime within the Empire of Morocco.
Point of interest, just want to note, he's done it twice.
Okay, thank you, Chief Judge Chief Judge Cicero. So this was his second offense. Let's put that on the record. And this is called being recorded.
Spice, gentlemen, super hydration body wash, and now that's today.
Is this call being recorded? I have someone on known as a Zoom user.
Are you just talking Old Spicy?
Someone has to mute themselves. Hold on, let me see.
Brother
Somebody
Akil,
watching,
I have somebody on as a Zoom user. Can you please let us know who is on as a Zoom user?
I see that's David Bey. He just changed it.
Okay, no problem. Now, is this call being recorded?
This is a huge moment. We're getting ready to reveal to my conservative.
Okay,
Someone
so
got to
let's mute. Can we
Just one
please
second.
mute David Bey?
David R. Bey. David R. Bey, his mic is not going to
David R. Bey, you got to mute. Let me try to
It's
mute
secret long enough, but
My bad,
Oh,
I'm
you gotta
sorry.
mute
I
him.
got
You
it.
the
I got it.
host.
I got it.
Thank you. All right, Akil, the recording is being the session is being recorded, correct?
Deanna, the
Correct.
door for me? Huh?
Okay, so it's being recorded, brother. Recorded.
And so you have the host, so you can only
Okay. It looks like it's recording. I don't see the option to record, so it should be already recording. Let me see
Yes, it
something
is. Yes,
When I
it's-
came in, it said this Zoom is being recorded.
here. Yeah, it is. Go ahead, brother. AG show.
The reason why I was asking, was it being recorded? Because our Chief Judge Cicero made a valid point. He said this was the second time that the previous wazir, the previous prime minister, had gave a recording from the Wazir Regional Council to the Chief Judge Jay Bey, which was bringing the Chief Judge Jay Bey into political affairs, which is a breach of office. Let's continue on. The affidavit is submitted to bring to the attention of the Constitutional Council, the government, the House, and all relevant authorities a matter of grave constitutional concern. It pertains to the conduct of certain high officials of the empire, which appears to be in direct contravention of the foundational principles of separation of powers and the rule of law enshrined in our illustrious Constitution. Please continue to go down. Constitutional framework and executive authority. The supreme authority of the state is unequivocally vested in me, His Majesty the Sultan, Abdul Al-Kabir. This is affirmed in Article 10 on the Constitution, which states, the Sultan shall preside over the Prime Minister as the absolute sovereign authority in all matters of political, legal, judicial, education, economic, social, and military affairs. Now, this is what they did to you when they gave you a definition of preside. Absolute sovereign authority. So what I want everyone to do right now, because this is we are basically in a study session. I want everyone for themselves, but I want the mother to read it. I want everyone for themselves at this particular time to go look up the definition of preside. We will wait. There's no rush for this call. So as the Sultan's bringing it up, okay. Let's be patient. Okay. Is there a mother on the call that can read this definition of preside?
I can read it.
Okay, please do.
Okay, preside, which is a verb. It says to exercise guidance, direction, or control. 2, to occupy the place of authority, act as president, chairman, or moderator. B, to occupy a position similar to that of a president or chairman. 3, to occupy a position of featured instrumental performer, usually used. Okay.
Okay. Good enough. So Sultan, please go back to the document, please. That is absolutely excellent. Okay. So you're going to find out later in this call on how they tried to muddy the waters on the definition of preside. But it states right here that the Sultan shall have, preside means authority over the Prime Minister as the absolute sovereign authority in all matters of political. Are we dealing with political mores?
Yes.
Yes.
Is this document that you're reading right now, is this a legal? This is an affidavit of truth, which now falls into a legal document. Judicial, education, economic, social, and military affairs. This is in your Constitution of Article 10 in your Constitution. So my question to the floor, first of all, my question is to the wazirs, the wazir PGFs, who has absolute authority over the Prime Minister?
The Sultan does.
That's one wazir. We have many other wazirs on this call from PGFs and why is it not recognized states.
Yeah, I alluded to this Article 10 last night as being the Great Wall of China. It's the Rock of Gibraltar. You know, I alluded to that article last night. Had the Sultan pull it up. So
Correct. Correct. So then they tried to muddy the waters. Sultan, please go back to the document. I just wanted to make it clear on this definition of preside. I'm getting to it, Morris. Because what they was hoping is that you guys didn't understand or that you guys didn't read the Constitution. This article establishes a clear and irrefutable chain of command and allegiance. All executive, judicial, and governmental authority flows from and is subordinate to the office of the Sultan. The action of all officials must reflect this ultimate allegiance to the sovereign and to the constitutional order that I embody and guarantee. 3, inappropriate allegiance and belligerence of officials. It has been observed that the Prime Minister, DeAndre Jay Bey, Chief Judge Jay Bey, and Executive Chief of Staff Nola Ilu have engaged in patterns of communication and conduct that suggest the formation of a faction operating with a belligerent and inappropriate personal allegiance that circumvents the sovereign authority of His Majesty the Sultan and therefore the will of the people. Their coordinated actions detailed below create the perception of cabal or parallel power structure that is not only disrespectful to the office of a sultan, but also fundamentally undermines the constitutional order as defined in Article 10. So what is the Sultan talking about here? The Sultan is talking about that every official of AMPAC has a high office. So what AMPAC did, 2.0 did, is that they swarmed the Empire of Morocco. They literally took the Wazir and made the Wazir of AMPAC and made him the Prime Minister. They literally took the Executive Chief of Staff, grandfathered her in. Hear me now. They say that she was grandfathered in, but there's no documentation showing that she was grandfathered in.
A point of interest, something that has to be stated for the record for clarity, and for honesty and fairness. They didn't directly appoint Dre as the Prime Minister. I was convinced to do so. I appointed him based on the recommendation from someone who I trusted in that moment, which was Jay Bey. So that's the proper clarity.
Okay. And you can say that respectfully, Sultan, but you remember who worked with AMPAC officials. So I'm going to use different wording based upon things in conversations. I'm going to use different wording based upon things in conversations that I know were being had. So the coordinated detail, Article 4, unconstitutional in conduct and defiance. Collusion between judicial and executive branches. The Constitution implicates and mandates a separation of powers to ensure checks and balances. Chief Judge Jay Bey has been engaged in regular substantive communication with an unofficial group chat that includes the Executive Chief of Staff, me, which the Sultan agreed that he was in that group chat, and the Wazirs of the executive branch. So what does that mean? That means is that when you notice that something is unconstitutional, you step up and say, this is unconstitutional. We need to stop this group chat. So the Sultan gave orders to stop the group chat, and 2 belligerent officials continue to use the group chat. Just because you was doing something in the past, and then you found out that you're doing something wrong, then that's when you're supposed to correct it. But certain individuals, as Chief Judge Jay Bey and also Dre Bey, continue to use this unconstitutional group chat. This constitutes a clear and unacceptable collusion between the judiciary and the executive branch, comprising the impartiality and independence of the judicial authority that His Majesty the Sultan is sworn to guarantee per Article 75. Please continue to go down. Defiance of lawful directive. Upon finally recognizing the unconstitutional practice, we spoke about this, I issued a formal call for these officials to cease and desist all communications. Despite this communication they have persisted to between the judge and the prime minister. Furthermore, the prime minister expressed to me in the Wazir Council meeting dated September 28th of 2025 that they would continue to communicate in the group chat, and to this day, boldly has done so. This continued defiance demonstrated willful disregard to Article 10 of the Constitution and amounts to an act of insubordination against the constitutional order presided over by His Sharifian Majesty. So I'm going to ask a question to the floor. I'm going to see if the Moors have caught on to it. Who does DeAndre Jay Bey listen to? Was he listening to the directives of the Sultan, or was he listening to directives of the Chief Judge Jay Bey? Please take all yourselves off of mute and answer that question.
This is Buck.
Jay Bey.
Chief Judge.
He let the Chief Judge preside over his office.
Jay Bey.
Jay Bey.
Correct. Please put yourselves back on mute. Because I want to know so heartily that y'all know that your prime minister continue to overreach from the executive branch to the judicial branch, which was bringing Chief Judge Jay Bey into political conversations which he was not supposed to have. Unauthorized dissemination of confidential information. Further compounding this violation, Prime Minister DeAndre Jay Bey improperly shared a private recording of the same of the Wazir Council, proceeding with Chief Judge Jay Bey. The Chief Judge then compounded this breach by disseminating the confidential recording to 3 of the 5 judges. There was 3 judges that was given the recording instead of 5.
Twice.
2 times. And that voice is your Chief Judge, as of now, of the Empire Morocco, Cicero Bey.
And he was the only one that reported such infraction. He was the one that reported the infraction.
This act violates the confidentiality of governmental deliberations, represents a gross abuse of power by both the Prime Minister and Chief Judge, seeks to improperly influence the judiciary by imposing it to be privileged executive deliberations. Please go down. Complicity of the judiciary. The other judges who were privy to this confidentiality recording and failed to report this profound breach of protocol are implicated in this misconduct. Their silence amounts to the acquiescence in comprising the integrity of the entire judicial institution. Therefore, these judges must recuse themselves from taking part in any proceedings dealing with this matter, as they themselves may come under investigation. Now, wait till we get to the document. 5, Pacific acts of sedition, threats by the executive chief of staff. Now, I want you to explain to me, how does somebody that's been grandfathered in, given an opportunity to become a Moroccan national within the Sultan's empire, the Sultan recognized you. Let's read the disrespect. Pacific acts of sedition and threats by the executive chief of staff. Further to the general patterns of misconduct, I must bring the council's attention Pacific documents acts by the executive chief of staff, Nova Il, that constitute direct sedition, threats, and a fundamental breach of her oath of office. Usurpation in a sovereign authority. During a recorded meeting of the Wazir Council on the 28th day of June 2025, the individual Nova Il made the statement, "AMPAC don't play that." Can y'all please take all yourselves off of mute and please read that statement to yourselves out loud. Everyone,
don't play.
She said, "Impact don't play
Impact
that."
don't play that.
Impact don't play that.
Impact don't play that.
Thank you. That's good enough. Who does Nova Il work for?
The Sultan.
Which is a part of what?
The executive
Empire.
The
Empire
Empire
of
of
Morocco.
Morocco. It's Ampak, the Empire of Morocco.
No.
No, it is not.
Okay.
No, not Ampak, not Ampak. No.
Ampak does not, the Ampak does not run the Empire of Morocco. So when you go back up in the document, I explained to you, no, you don't have to, Sultan. I explained to you on how Ampak clothed, made the Sultan think, oh, we're doing all the work, we're going to get the work done, but they clothed themselves that we're the beacon of light for the Empire of Morocco, but they were putting themselves in the hierarchy positions. This is why she made that statement. Ampak don't play that. Now, let me ask someone a question that's been around a while.
I thank you for choosing McDonald's or using a mobile app today.
Please mute yourself. Someone that's been around a while. Was Nova Ilu Il an original member of Ampak?
Nope.
No, she was not.
He
No, she
says
was
it in the
not.
study sessions. You just gotta watch it. He
Correct.
said it. She's the
Correct.
type.
Was it the meal or the burger?
So she has taken the norm of the attitude of Ampak runs the Empire of Morocco. Let's continue
So you
on.
want the meal?
Please mute yourself.
So a large meal?
Explicitly
Don't
denies, please
Mute yourself.
mute Daryl Day.
Okay. One large ice cream in my coffee?
It's okay. Please mute Daryl Day because he's at work. Good brother's at work. Can someone please mute him?
Yeah, give me a second. Let me try to find
Okay,
it here.
we'll wait because good brother is at work and he's trying to listen and be at work at the same time, and I get it.
Yeah. Let me mute him.
I apologize.
No, you're good. Okay, so explicitly denies the absolute sovereignty. Okay, this is a profound and seditious act, as it explicitly denies the absolute sovereignty authority of the Sultan as mandated by Article 10 of the Constitution. It suggests allegiance to Ampak as a shadow government rather than the empire as the sovereign authority. It attempts to intimidate government officials by invoking a foreign power. Please continue to go up. Unpatriotic threats and personal allegiance. On June 29th of 2025, following the aforementioned meeting, the same official, Nobi Ilu engaged in a text message communication with a government official. Within this exchange, she made the following statements, which I hereby enter into on the record. Now I'm going to ask the floor. I'm going to ask, is the person that she shot these text messages to on this call today? Okay.
He's on his call. Speak up.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Okay. And this is our, so she thought, now let me make you guys understand. She thought that they had everybody up under their thumb, that she texted the judge this incriminating behavior about the Sultan. Let's read it. Let's read on how Nobi Ilu, who we allowed as a nation to come in and showed her love. And let's read on how she disrespects our nation. I am giving him one last chance to do right by Jay. This statement reveals that her primary loyalty is not to the Sultan or the Constitution, but to a personal allegiance with Chief Judge Jay Bey, It demonstrates that her official actions are guided by a desire to serve this personal faction, making her unfit for the high office of the Executive Chief of Staff. Now, if you all remember a couple Mondays ago, maybe a month Mondays ago, I stated and made the comment as your Consul General that I do not hold any allegiance to no person. I hold allegiance to the Empire of Morocco. This is the reason why I made that statement. Are y'all putting y'all puzzle together now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I knew there were certain individuals that was holding allegiance to the person instead of the empire. You about to get that ass spanked, quote unquote. This is an unambiguous and vulgar threat directed at His Majesty the Sultan. Such behavior is unbecoming of any public servant, let alone one of the most senior officials in the executive branch. It creates an environment of intimidation and fear. undermining the orderly and lawful administration of the government. Quote unquote, another statement. The Sultan said some shit on a recorded line. This statement reveals two potential high crimes. First, it suggests that the existence of a recorded conversation with me, and without my prior knowledge or consent, which would be a gross violation of privacy and state security. Second, her casual and disrespectful tone in referencing the Sultan is an unpatriotic act and demonstrates a profound lack of respect for the office of the Sultan. Please continue on. The actions of Novilu Il, as evidenced by her own words, go beyond mere misconduct. They represent a deliberate pattern of seditious speech, the making of threats, and of the establishment of personal allegiance that directly undermines the sovereignty and constitutional order of the empire. Her continued presence in a position of authority constitutes a clear and present danger to the security of the state and the dignity of the people. Now we're going to get down to business. Conclusion and petition. Now you got to understand this because they keep saying that people absolutely removed them. You got to understand law. The action detailed herein by said government officials are clear and present danger to the stability and integrity of the Empire of Morocco and are inconsistent with their oath of office and their constitutional duty of undivided allegiance to the sovereign authority of His Majesty the Sultan as mandated by Article 10. Their conduct establishes a pattern of defiance, collusion, and breach of confidentiality that strikes the very heart of our constitutional democracy. Therefore, by the powers inherent in my office and my duty to preserve the empire from all threats, both foreign and domestic, I hereby command the Constitutional Council to immediately commence a formal, exhaustive investigation into these allegations. 2, suspend these officials pending the conclusion of this investigation. 3, summon the named officials Novilu Il, DeAndre Jay Bey, and Jay Bey to private sworn testimony before the Council, Empire of Morocco. Issue a binding ruling on the constitutionality of these actions with all possible speed. Recommend to me full measure of constitutional and disciplinary measures warranted up to and including removal from office and criminal prosecution. To cleanse our government of this corruption and restore the constitutional order. A Moroccan judge of the empire must be impartial, honest, upright, and honorable. And Jay Bey fails at these necessary attributes. Now, my question to Judge Cicero, were these individuals removed through this affidavit? Did this affidavit remove them from their positions?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I was preoccupied.
It looked like it said to suspend them.
Okay, so that means that they were not removed. So they've been telling all the political groups forming Delinco that they, especially Nevada, that they was removed. They were just suspended. And it was pending the conclusion of an investigation. They were investigated. They're being investigated. So we were giving them, the Sultan was giving them their due process of law. Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
Correct.
There was no one, there was nobody removed. It was just a suspension. Now let's go back up a little bit, Sultan.
Hold on, AG, real quick. What they did was hyper-focus on what I have underlined.
Which is the removal from office, correct.
But based on what? Recommend to me the full measure of constitutional and disciplinary measures warranted up to and including removal from office and criminal prosecution. But that's upon the conclusion of the investigation.
Correct.
I yield.
Can you please go up a little bit? Now you say, well, Sultan, why do you want to suspend him? Okay, well, just a little bit more. Why would you want to investigate him? Why would you want to suspend him? Now I want you guys to all close your eyes. Please go up a little bit more. Stop. I want you to think about if you was the Sultan of the Empire of Morocco and one of your officials was talking like this about you. I want you to read it. telling you that I'm going to spank your ass, telling you you better make it right by a chief judge who's just a judge of the judicial branch, and saying somebody, the Sultan said some shit on a recorded line. I listened to that recording. It wasn't anything that he said that a Sultan shouldn't say when he feels like he's being attacked or demeaned. Can you please continue to go down? Declaration so decreed under my hand the seal, His Majesty the Sultan Abdul Al-Kabir, sovereign of the Empire of Morocco, October 1st, 2025. Who signed your constitution, Moors? That brought your empire from out of a shallow grave? That's my question to you.
Sultan did.
Okay.
The Sultan who they help appoint. So yeah.
Who was elected by the people on May 12, 2024?
The Sultan.
Okay. But we have recordings saying that I made you. I have recordings from individuals saying, I made you. I made you the Sultan, which means that I don't care about what the people did. I made you the Sultan. The Constitution was signed by your Sultan on June 3rd, 2024. One of the processes that you need to decolonize. As well as your Declaration of Independence, May 13th of 2024, by the Sultan. Your public inauguration, June 8th of 2024. How can they get around this? He was publicly inaugurated. I went to the state of Georgia, sat there myself, and seen him sworn in to the Sultan, June 8th, 2024. Promulgated to the empire by the Sultan on June 8th, 2024. I was present for my Sultan. Let's go to 9. The United Nations has all this deposited with the signature of the Sultan on June 13th of 2024. They're going to say, well, who the hell is this interim Sultan? Sultan, can we please go to this pseudo court proceeding, please? Document. Remember your definition of preside, please.
I gotta find it.
No problem. Take your time. We're in no rush. At least I'm not.
Where is it? What I do with it? Oh, right here. Okay. You know what? Let me make it easier. Let me download it.
Okay.
And then I'll
just go to your email, or just go to your email and pull it up.
Right.
They sent it to you. They sent it to you in the email. So just go to your email and pull it up.
Yeah. Well, what I'm trying to do is pull it up in that other page.
Okay.
Where,
take your time.
So it can go side by side. Let's see. Where is the page? Oh.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that, Sultan, I'm going to open up any questions or comments about what I just read.
On the privilege.
Yes. Sisters,
okay.
Sarah Shalit.
Okay. Like what you just highlighted. Me and my wazir was talking yesterday after the call, right? Mm-hmm. And I was looking on my computer because I still had all my stuff pulled up, study sessions, different things. And it was paused. It was kind of crazy how my computer was paused. And behind Jay Bey was everything you just highlighted. Like I even took a picture of it. Just because I'm like, it's funny how there's the Constitution that they're going against was behind him with everything that said the Declaration of Independence by the Sultan. And I pointed that out yesterday. I said, you know, it was crazy because when we watch these study sessions, we see it. But then all of this stuff has transpired. And then I had looked up the definition of absolute sovereignty, right? And it say in politics, absolute sovereignty describes the state's supreme, ultimate, and unchecked power to govern itself without external interference or limitations from other authorities, laws, or constitution. This means the sovereign has complete control over its internal affairs, laws, and population, acting as the highest authority within its own borders.
Correct. So, because they did not allow the due process of law, and I'm so proud of you, Vega. You're gonna be a hell of a counsel.
Who was the sister that was just speaking?
That was Sister Sarah Shalet.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to take note on that. Appreciate you. Thanks for your excellent erudition. Continue, AG.
And Brother Vega, you're going to be an excellent consul general. Because you know what they did, Sarah Shalet? Because they did not allow the due process of law to go through for themselves. Because anybody that's innocent is saying, I want my due process. Even the person that killed George Floyd knew he was guilty, but did they still give him his due process of law?
Yes, they did. Because that's law. You have to go through the due process. Yeah.
So they wouldn't allow the due process to go through. So they actually recused themselves by not allowing the due process. Well, let's get to this document, Sarah Shalet. That's on your screen. Okay. High Court of the House, Empire of Morocco, District, State of Ampag. Okay. Where was the Empire of Morocco? Well, that's the district, State of Ampag. I'm going to show you why they put the State of Ampag up here. Continue to go up, Sultan. And can you please, hold on a second, maybe this is me. Yeah, it was me. I'm sorry. Sayaraha Council, X-Rail Empire of Morocco, et al., they're the plaintiff, versus Abdul Al-Kabir, Sultan. Okay, so did they just admit on the record that he was the Sultan?
Yeah, they
That's
said
my
he
question to the
Yeah,
floor.
they sure did.
Okay, so they admitted on the record that he's the Sultan. The House of Sayaraha's vote of no confidence against the Sultan Al-Kabir. Thank you for explaining to the world that he's the Sultan. Can you continue to go down, please? House of Sayaraha's vote of no confidence against the Sultan Al-Kabir for high crimes. Now, Sultan, here we go. Sultan, can you please go to the Constitution where it states the high crimes, please? I gotta pull this up for the people. You're not, and I'm talking from a legal perspective. Let's talk about the legality of what they're doing. Let's talk about high crimes. Take your time. Okay. His Majesty the Sultan shall not be removed from office. Article 81. His Majesty the Sultan shall not be removed from office during the term thereof on any grounds other than treason. Has your Sultan created treason with another country?
No.
Has your Sultan tried to bribe you or get or not show you documents or not send you documents?
No.
No.
Or other high crimes patently incompatible with his continuing office. Such removal from office shall be proclaimed by the House sitting at the High Court. Okay. The proposal to convene the High Court adopted by the House shall immediately make its decision known within 15 days of this receipt. Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. Did they define high crimes in here? Where's the definition for high crimes?
Actually, there is none.
Okay, I want the Sarah Rajas to answer this since their own since the other House members couldn't get this. Sarah Raha, is there a definition for high crimes within the Constitution? Let's read the definition of high crimes. High crimes. Noun, a crime of infamous nature contrary to public morality, but not technically constituting a felony. Specifically, an offense that the U.S. Senate deems to constitute an adequate ground for removal of the president, vice president, or any civil officer as a person unfit to hold public office and deserving of impeachment. Infamous nature contrary to public morality, but not technically constituting a felony.
An example of that is stripping you of your nationality. That would be a high crime. Or inciting terrorist attacks against a neighboring nation. That's a high crime. Things that are against the moral fiber of the nation that would cause the nation, the head of state, the head of state's actions cause the nation to look morally poor. Things of that nature. That's a high crime. Not misunderstanding the Constitution. Continue.
Thank you. Can we go back to the document, please? So within your Constitution, it does not state what a high crime is. Application institutional criminal complaint proceedings filed in the register of the High Court. Judge Cicero, Chief Judge Cicero, has there ever been a register to the High Court?
No.
A registrar to the, say that again?
No.
Okay, so let's go back up to the false narrative, please. In order to have the register has to be approved by the Sultan. The Prime Minister has to let the Sultan know we're going to create a register to the High Court. The judge that was sitting, Chief Judge Cicero Bey, sat in the office with the other judges. Continue to go up, please. Go down to the register, which now you have on the record that Cicero Bey, our Chief Judge Cicero Bey, has never known for them to have a register. Continue to go up, please. Not there. I mean, down. I'm sorry.
Down. Okay.
Yeah, down. My other down. My other. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the parties. October 4th, I, Makara Il, Speaker of the House, submit this application on behalf of the Sarah Raha Council, ex-rel, Empire of Morocco, as the plaintiff. This dispute is against Abdul Al-Kabir, the Sultan, defendant. Defendant is sued in his official capacity. Go down. Sue. You're gonna sue the Sultan that has not committed a high crime. And you said that this application was submitted to the High Court and nobody even know that the High Court had a registrar's office. I had a register email. Y'all just made that up too. This dispute is against Abdul Al-Kabir, the Sultan. I'm glad that they're pointing out that he's the Sultan. Defendant is sued in official capacity. This complaint is intended to initiate urgent provisional measures pursuant to express, imply, or inherent powers of Chapter 10, the High Court of the House, Articles 81, Clauses 1, 2, and 3 of the Constitution of the Empire of Morocco. Chapter 10 just basically stated that the Sultan had sovereign authority and he presided over everything. You're complaining about Article 10. Part 2, complaint for judgment and immediate removal. Short background and motive. Now, y'all gonna have to read this. Can you please continue to go up? Watch this. You're getting ready to see on how they say that Al-Kabir is the Sultan, but they really think somebody else is the Sultan. Let me read it for you. The defendant, Sultan Abdul Al-Kabir, violated and continues to violate Article 3, 7, 10, and 18 inter alia of the fundamental laws of the Constitution. The defendant has issued a state of emergency under false pretenses. So they said it was false pretenses. Did nobody Lou Ill state on the record she was going to spank the Sultan's ass?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, she did.
Did DeAndre Jay Bey give 2 recordings to the judge, which was overreaching from the executive to the judicial branch? Is that true or not?
That's true.
Did the
That's
judge, Chief Judge Jay Bey, give the recording to 3 of the judges instead of all 5 of them?
Yep, that's true.
Okay, so this is
Also
a
correct.
this is a pseudo statement right here, false statement about the Sultan. Defendant's actions are merely politically motivated, watch this everyone, because has recently become adverse to his mastery teacher, Jay Bey. Defendant wants to be admired and looked up to in an identical way as the majority of the people look up to Jay Bey. Even as recently as October 1st, Al-Kabir stated during a small council meeting that he considers Jay Bey as similar as to the noble Drew Ali. As a matter of fact, Al-Kabir stated that others feel the same way about Jay Bey. Now, Sultan, just really quickly, can you please tell the people on why you made this statement? What was Jay Bey saying to you why you made this statement? He was saying that he was not getting any credit. Can you please pass that along to the nation?
It would be a wonderful thing for everyone to share in that conversation, because it was him. I brought to his attention the fact that he continuously keeps pointing out how he did everything. I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. He proceeded to say, well, no one is giving me any credit. I don't get any flowers, so I don't see a problem with me giving myself some credit. And the statement that I made to that was, well, how many times have we all heard people say that you remind them of Noble Drew Ali? That's the highest honor. What are you talking about? That was the statement that I made in response to him saying that no one gives him flowers. So he took it and twisted it as if as you see, the foolishness. Continue.
So they wanted to give a short background. There's certain things. They wanted to have a 5-step. So remember, in any legal document, you got to have a short story. It's called an introduction, intro, the short story, the presentation, close, and then you're going to recap at the end. So right now, what they're giving you in this legal document is the short story aspect of it. But as you can see here, instead of them thinking highly of the Sultan, just in this short paragraph, they're saying that the mastery teacher, Jay Bey, should be looked up to as the Sultan. And they're saying the Sultan has a problem with this, which he has never, ever stated on the record. He's always stated that Jay was a great teacher. But it sounds like to me from that October 1st that Jay Bey has a problem that he's not getting enough flowers. Let's go to 5. The evidence will place a bright spotlight on the true purpose and intent of Al-Kabir's coup d'etat. Oh, God. I'm trying to remain from a legal perspective. There's been nobody in this world that has pulled a coup d'etat against their own state. I'm hoping the political group formings are seeing this.
I know.
Sultan Al-Kabir is the head of state for the Empire of Morocco. He cannot pull a coup d'etat against himself. It's because he is envy and need to remove Jay Bey and others so that he himself can take the place of Jay Bey's name and likeliness. You see there? They're more concerned about Jay Bey's name and the likeliness than the empire of Morocco. In other words, Al-Kabir does not want to share the spotlight with his teacher anymore. Al-Kabir wants to discredit his teacher now that he become the Sultan. He feels as though Jay Bey has no more use, as he was already the Sultan. He was the Sultan for a whole year and a half. He never got in the way. On the Monday night calls, the Sultan doesn't even say hardly anything. Am I right or wrong, PGFs?
You're so right. Right.
He allowed them to run the government in a trustworthy fashion. He trusted that they were running the government with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And by the way, we're going to say Islam on our calls if the Sultan allow us to, because we was told, oh, you can't say Islam in a government setting.
All day, every day under my leadership.
Islam.
Oh, you shouldn't use Islam in a government setting. Hold on 1 second. We shouldn't use love, peace, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in our government documents. Well, we're Moors.
On a privilege, I have a question.
Please.
Okay. Okay, reading what you just read. When he says he want to take the place so himself can take the place of Jay Bey. Isn't Jay Bey under him? So why would he want to step down?
Thank you for noticing that.
I got it for you, Salt. I got it for you, Salt. That's why I'm appointed your counsel. See, they don't like people like you, Sarah Raha, because you don't have the wool pulled over your eyes. This is why your Wazir DJ Alexander, he calls some things out. And yeah, we have to protect people from a public setting, but it's like, hold on 1 second. These IMA people, oh no, we can't have them over here because they think too much for themselves. So we probably ain't gonna call IMA and ask them to stay, to come on with us.
They knew not to call us. We already had problems, so they knew not to come over here and call us for nothing.
Okay, let me get back to the legal. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah, for pointing that out because I didn't have to do it from a legal perspective. Can you go up to 6, please? And I'm gonna get to you in a second, Daryl Day. It is important to note that Al-Kabir owes a great deal of gratitude to the Chief Justice Jay Bey. Nobody's ever said that Chief Justice Jay Bey is not giving his flowers from what he's been teaching from his 173 AMPAC study sessions. Because without him, there would not be an emerged Sultan. You see what they just did? The people elected the Sultan in. Nor would there be his newfound person, nor would there be this newfound person. Do you understand? His mama had him. So let's discredit his mother for birthing Abdul Smith Al-Kabir and saying that Jay Bey just birthed Abdul Smith Al-Kabir to life. His mother did that. I don't want to get personal. Continue on the 7. Let's keep it legal. I recall that Abdul Bey changed his name to Abdul Al-Kabir. Now, this is what I call defamation of character lawsuit that we can bring against him. Shortly after being elected to the seal of the Sultan, I think that people should have a clear understanding of what the name Al-Kabir means, because it will help the people to understand the narcissistic behavior of a self-centered man who wants all power. Where if he wanted all power, he wouldn't have put people around him to run the government and control by issuing a fictitious state emergency as a way of grabbing all power from the other elected and appointed officials of the government. For the record, the name Al-Kabir means, please go up. Continue. The most great, the great, the one who is greater than anything in everything in status. The word Kabir is Arabic, is commonly associated with the physical size or magnitude. Its application to Allah transcends through mystical, physical attributes. In the context of Allah, Al-Kabir signifies his greatness in all aspects, encompassing his attributes, power, and sovereignty. The use of divine article Al emphasizes that Allah is not just great, but the greatest, surpassing any human comprehension or comparison. The essence of name Al-Kabir and its significance affirms that the concept of Tawud, the oneness of Allah. Furthermore, pairing Al-Kabir with Allah the Most High underscores the notion that Allah's greatness extends beyond the physical dimensions to encompass his exalted status above all creation. Continue to keep going up. This combination highlights Allah's unparalleled greatness and supremacy, emphasizing his perfection and uniqueness. Understanding that Allah as Al-Kabir reminds believers of his incomprehensible greatness and serves as a source of all reference and humility. It enforces the belief in Allah's omnipotence and omnipresence, inspiring devotion and submission to his will. Hold on one second. You're saying that he's being arrogant, but didn't it just state here that he has humility? Is anybody reading the same thing I'm reading?
Yes, sir. I'm right there. I'm looking at it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Me too.
I'm trying to go back
Overall-
up like it's my screen.
Overall, Al-Kabir serves as a powerful reminder of Allah's absolutely greatness and perfection, transcending any human limitations and mental constructs. No intercessions will be of any benefit with him, except by those granted permission by him. At last, when the dredge of Judgment Day is relieved from their hearts because they are permitted to intercede, they will excitedly ask the angels, "What has your Lord just said?" The angels will reply, "The truth, and he is the Most High, all great." Continue to keep going up. The angels will reply, "The truth, and he is the Most High, all great." Reference the most beautiful names of Allah. We've already stated that Allah means all law, means mother. We've stated that for the record. What did they get at with this short story?
They said he doing his duty.
Correct. And before you do your duty, you have to set a standard upon yourself. You have to set a standard above yourself to make sure you don't go outside your duty. So if you're saying that you are Abdul Smith Al-Kabir, then you must be Abdul Smith Al-Kabir. And when it was time for him to step up for his nation against these bad actors, he had to do his duty. But they're trying to say he has arrogance.
On the privilege. I'm trying to figure out.
It's called confidence. Sarah, how the floor is yours.
What does him changing his name got to do with the law?
Okay, this Sarah, you probably need to make you probably
I'm
need
just
to
trying to figure this out because this don't make no sense. Like, and then
she may not need to be the Sarah. She probably need to be the right. She probably need to get into the courthouse.
We just found the other judge.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
I'm just looking at this like, what they got to do with law though?
See,
okay, he changed his name, so what they got to do with law?
Now, for the record,
they're trying to muddy the waters.
For the record, allow me to say this. The reason for Al-Kabir, which is what I explained to him, Abdul means servant. Al-Kabir means great. Put it together, the great servant.
The people. Explain it to all of us.
That was the idea. And he flipped it. The great servant of the people.
You explained this to us on the call. That's recorded. Like, I don't get, I'm you know what? I'm finna mute myself.
It's okay. Let us continue on.
Wait till you hear the backstory from me, but I'm gonna yield on that for now.
I have to explain this. Sultan, I want you to go down. So you guys can see they're trying to play collusion. Okay? Please continue to go up because we don't have to read these particular articles here just based upon they're talking about your name. Okay? Okay, let's go to part 3. And we will send this document to everybody for everybody to eat it up. The violation of Article 10 of the emergency powers. The Sultan has unilaterally invoked emergency powers in relation to the conspiracy theories and unsubstantiated allegations against Chief Judge Jay Bey, DeAndre Jay Bey, the Prime Minister, and Lower Elite Ill, Chief of Staff, and other elected and appointed officials, whereas the Sultan has intentionally disregarded any efforts to seek earnest consultation and resolutions in cooperation with the House members. There's been no rulings of Constitutional Council, High Council, or the Special Court regarding the allegations of Al-Kabir made against elected and unappointed officials of the state. The Sultan has become unhinged by unlawfully invoking Article 10 of the Constitution. So right off the back here, from a legal perspective, the Sayar Raha, Makar Ir, has lied to the nation because he has been in mediation meetings. He called Makar, and Makar, to no avail, did not pick up her phone. So she lied to her nation on this document in front of everybody. Once again, Article 10, the Sultan shall provide over the Prime Minister as the absolute sovereign authority in all matters of political, legal, judicial, education, economic, social, and military matters. Please go up.
Point of interest. I want to mark this moment right here. Can you go back up to where it says Article 10? There was a moment, I believe October 3rd, or shortly after Jay Bey had emailed the 3 judges. He got us all on a call, and I'm under the impression, as a judge, knowing that my 2 bosses at the time, and in my eyes, retrospectfully though, and being peaceful and neutral as I can during the investigations, because as a judge, I'm supposed to stay neutral and impartial, especially with cases. Okay, that's my mindset, because I'm also trying to speak and I'm doing mediation and peace talks, hopefully to try to get resolution, by the way. But anyway, on that call, Jay was telling us, he told us all where he messed up. He brought up Article 10, and he pointed out the fact that back in May, when the Sultan and him was having tensions, that he needed the High Council or the Constitutional Council to amend the Article 10 and put in with it when it comes to emergency powers, to include emergency powers in this article, meaning that it's only that he tried to limit the Sultan's power by putting this article under only under emergency powers. And he was mad about that. He expressed that clearly in the call between us judges, while he's trying to get the other 2 judges who are in part of the investigation. Me knowing I'm supposed to stay neutral, and since those 2 are under investigation, and then Jay is also the main one under investigation, who's going to be the neutral judge here? Because at that time, Cyrus wasn't, the other judges were not even, I'll say, attending or being active. And so I chose the side of peace, realizing my situation. And then when Jay said that he admitted it to all of us, and Dominique and Isaac would lie if I told them that this did not happen, what I'm about to say. When Jay said that he messed up and he needed to have this amended to limit his powers, I knew that Jay right there, after a second or 2, it hit me on how the magnanimity of what was going on with the Sultan had did by calling the state of emergency and his powers, and that he said that he messed up. He literally admitted that he messed up, and then when it hit me, I said out loud, Jay, yes, you did. I see. You should have tried to get that corrected. I see what you mean now from back when he first emailed us about the argument that Jay and Sultan had in that meeting, and they had that impact is all that whatever route. But what I'm saying is, I reaffirmed it in that call and realized, yeah, Jay, you did mess up. And shortly after that, he recused himself. just like anybody who realized they're in the wrong and try to get away. Hear me now. And when he did that right there, and then I just saw everything else go in a different route on that side, I would say.
Okay.
But I was still trying to. That was the main point that I realized throughout. There's a lot of back stuff I can say, but this was a heavy point in realizing that Jay tried to get out of it, try to get out of the whole thing and try to save face because he knew that he was wrong. Yes, he tried to argue about the Sultan's name and sometimes how he can be unhinged or whatnot. But the Sultan is a great student. I was with him the whole time throughout this whole entire process. I've been in this for 4 years, and even still, so the Sultan has great interpretation of the law. Even though I have the rule of law and I enforce law, I would say his interpretation is just as sharp as mine, if not better. And so I just want to comment on that part right there. And a very key moment that I saw, and where I was proud of myself to say I'm still going for peace and mediation as a neutral judge to hopefully mend this whole thing together, which I still possibly see, but that depends on everybody's compromising. But either way, this to me was a moment in time that I will never forget. I yield.
Thank you, brother. Sultan, can you continue to go down? And that was a key statement there. So as we can see here, this 16 is the Chief Judge explained empire powers. Well, the Chief Judge, it states in this 16, a Chief Judge has explained the empire powers. So what they're stating is every time the Chief Judge explains something to us, that we're not supposed to go back and look at it. The term preside, let me tell you on how they try to, the term preside means indirect observation during peace times. Is that what the term of preside mean, everyone?
No.
No, we just read it. No.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This document is fraudulent at best. This hearing was fraudulent at best. The term preside means only the Sultan to assist the prime minister directly. Is that what preside mean? Number 3, the term preside means the Sultan to assist the prime minister directly during the emergency powers when petitioned by the prime minister or the house members of arbitration. Is that what preside means? Invalid, 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 void ab initio, void ab initio, void ab initio. Moreover, the Chief Judge made the above mentioned 3-point interest clear during a recorded constitutional council, which means, thank you, on this recorded constitutional council meeting on May 21st, and the Sultan acknowledged and accepted the interpretation. He even apologized to the Wazir Council and the Prime Minister. On that May 21st, Chief Judge Jay Bey lied to the nation regarding the definition of preside in Article 10. It does not matter if the Wazir Council, if the Sultan apologized to them because he was not erudite in that particular word. Well, I found out as his counsel that was a bald-faced lie as of May 21st.
Point of interest. Allow me to say this. This is how I know. This is how I know there was something nefarious after that, after this happened. Because in that meeting, he did an excellent job at warping what the structure, what the Constitution actually says, right? Because again, let me make this clear for the record. 2 years ago, when I first studied the Constitution, when it came out, which was 2 years ago, it was under the mindset of trust. Fast forward a couple of weeks ago, I started devouring the Constitution all over again with the mindset of distrust. Now I have a clear mind. I was able to see things clearer, much better. So the reason I apologize is because of my good faith. If I was wrong, I was wrong. Okay, my apologies. I was wrong about that. But it was still not based on the honest truth about what the Constitution actually says. In other words, he played me like he played everyone else. But the difference between me and everyone else is that I said, okay, hold up, something ain't right. And I went back to the Constitution and studied it harder again, whereas no one else did. And this is how I was able to identify the difference between what he was saying versus what it actually was.
Point of interest.
Yes, good brother. Go ahead. Point of interest.
I look at things like a lot deeper, and I got faith in our ancestors. So what I see right now is how many times we heard the Sultan will recognize, the Sultan recognize, and all the things that we seeing right now is all the things that the Sultan has recognized. Even whenever I called him, he heard my voice and he recognized who I was. I was recognized by the Sultan. And look, I'm on the call right now. And these are all the things that I see like throughout the whole thing. The Sultan he's recognizing he's the Sultan. He stood up in his emperor position, and these are the things that he's recognizing. And you know, I'm here all for it. Like I said, I'm not, no one is bigger than the Empire of Morocco. And just like Jay said, the Empire of Morocco is our political mother, and the Sultan is our political father. He has a duty to uphold, and he's going to do it. So everything was already told to us by our ancestors, and I yield.
Islam to you, brother. Thank you so much. Sultan, what we need to do is I need you to continue to go because these next few articles, as we already know, stated by our Chief Judge Bey, I want you to go up to where they tried to make, I want you to go down to where they tried to make the definition of high crimes. And this document will be sent out to everyone, but I want to pinpoint something out.
You didn't hear me. You still got to touch on lawful removal as well. But okay.
Yeah.
Right here.
Okay. I want to pinpoint something out. Result of high crimes of direct coup d'etat. This action taken by the head of state have led to dismantling essential democratic institutions, including the executive, judicial, and the legislative, compromising the denial of fundamental rights of Moroccan nationals. The head of state actions have resulted in a significant loss of public trust in our government, leading to unrest and social division. As such, Article 3, Clause 1 ensures constitutional rights for elected representatives to determine the state of the union and the national policy regarding emergency powers on immediate removal of the rogue actors. The rogue Sultan denied the elected representatives the right to a vote, extraordinary sessions, or by the people's vote through referendum ballots, whereas Article 3 states the following: national sovereignty shall vest in the people, who shall exercise through their representatives and referendums of the state. First, let's be clear. The Sultan wrote an affidavit of judicial breach and sedition. He put on the record that these three officials will be suspended, but they will be investigated and they will be given due process of law. There's no vote needed on that. Per Article 10, it gives the Sultan the sovereign authority. He presides over the prime minister. And at that particular time, them three officials had to go through their due process of law. There was no vote needed for that. Please go back up, Sultan, where you want me to go over that particular article. Okay. Section 5, violations of Article 5, unlawful removal of the prime minister. The head of state is acted outside the legal framework of constitutional authority by orchestrating a coup d'etat. Once again, a fraudulent statement because the head of state cannot pull a coup d'etat on his own state. The Sultan Al-Kabir unlawfully removed the prime minister. He did not remove the prime minister. The prime minister is up under investigation and other elected. Correct. He's up under investigation. And other appointed officials from seats without due process of law. The Sultan gave them their due process of law, Moors. They did not want to follow through with the investigation because they knew throughout the investigation it would be things that come up that they did not want to explain to the nation. So they did not want to go through their investigation. The abuse of power actions by the Sultan are unconstitutional and are done under a color of authority in violation of the rule of laws. Article 7 as provided. Clause 3, only His Majesty the Sultan can remove the Prime Minister from office per institutional act and upon the advisement of the Constitutional Council. He did not remove the Prime Minister from office. His Prime Minister was suspended and up under investigation. See, they're trying to muddy the waters and say he removed the Prime Minister. No, he gave, through the affidavit, he gave the Prime Minister the due process of law. Article 8 as provided, Clause 1, the process of appointing the Prime Minister shall commence with the Sultan, consulting it with the incumbent Prime Minister and the Speaker of the House. But do you see on even in their Article 7, Clause 3 or Article 8, Clause 1, what has the Sultan been doing? The Sultan has powers over the Prime Minister. The process of appointing the Prime Minister shall commence with the Sultan. Everything that the Prime Minister done shows his subordination of the Sultan. He is subordinate to the Sultan. Jay Bey made a narrative is that the Prime Minister is mentioned 17 times and you're mentioned one time. That was a false narrative. He tried to make sure that everybody thought that the Sultan had no powers. Are y'all staying with me?
That was the purpose of that meeting, was to convince. He got ahead of it then. So now that you, good brother, Cicero, are telling, now that you're telling me what you're telling me now, it even makes more sense because he had already messed up with Article 10, quote unquote. So he got ahead of it by warping the real meaning of the Constitution, got everyone indoctrinated in that moment, including myself. I was at that meeting. And then now you fast forward to up to around 2 weeks ago when I took the Constitution and just started studying the Constitution. And then I saw the difference, you see? And now you can put 2 and 2 together. But the problem that we're facing here with the government is that there has been a wool that was pulled over their eyes as it relates to the proper understanding of the Constitution. So I'm the only one, it's only me and Jay who are acting with the proper understanding of the Constitution. But I'm acting fairly, whereas he's acting belligerently. But they don't see it because they have already pulled the wool over. He had already pulled the wool over their eyes. If that makes sense.
Sultan, I need you to go down to where they presented what a high crime means. Okay, you got to keep going, continue to go down. Okay, here we go here. Go down. Yes. For these reasons stated above in section 1 through 4, the Sayaraha Council has set forth a past vote of no confidence and speedy removal of Al-Kabir for 3 counts of violations. 1, violation of Article 10, abuse of powers, high crime. 2, violation of Article 18, abuse of power of high crime. 3, violation of Article 7, abuse of power of high crime. Now, throughout the Constitution, did they ever give a definition of what a high crime was? That's a question to the floor.
No, they didn't.
Okay, so they made up their definition of what they thought a high crime was. Now, I'm going to show you on how we got them, on how they've been had. The High Court must find Abdul Al-Kabir actions against the elected and appointed official as a color of law and color authority, resulting in acts that are void, ab initio, and thus unlawful. Al-Kabir are arbitrary and capricious, willful
actions have caused irreparable harm as he attempted to purge several of our most valuable and elected appointed officials who have led the way of our salvation. Our self-determination efforts to decolonization through varying stages of advancement must not be cannibalized by Al-Kabir, conspirators. The irreparable harm is done now, and the competent authority must prevail. The House pleads to the court to find Abdul Al-Kabir guilty of high crimes, other him, and immediately remove him from the office unfit served as the head of state. So you're pleading to the court, which means there's no final decision. You're pleading to the court. Sultan, I need you to go up in this document and find where they said they needed to amend the Constitution.
I'm gonna do control find mechanism.
Well, they stated that the Constitution needed to be amended. Take your time.
Amend. I believe this is it right here.
Okay. Now let me tell you, Moors, you are finally getting ready to see that you have won again as being righteous people. Such as Article 10 shall be amended. Why do they want to amend Article 10, everyone?
Because
They want to
Article
take
10
the
goes
power.
against what they
Sultan
said.
has the power.
They want to
Yeah.
take the
Sultan
power
has
away
the
from the
Yeah.
Sultan.
So they admitted on the record that they want to amend this Article 10 to give the Sultan no powers. So they admit right now that the Sultan has full, absolute sovereignty for the Empire of Morocco, but they want to come back and amend it to express clear language. Nevertheless, the Sultan's malfeasance, nevertheless, you know what nevertheless means? Even though we messed up, nevertheless, we want to still amend that constitution. Nevertheless.
Point of interest, just keep in mind that this was brought up. I recall in one of the Monday meetings back in May or June that when after the tensions had arose at that time, that Jay was pushing for this back then because he saw it. He saw his, I guess, his mistake in what he wrote in the Constitution, and also with the tensions building up between him. Jay was trying to limit or undermine the Sultan. That's why he had pushed up to that tension up to that point. That's when he was trying to push it on, and it never did. Which in meantime, since he couldn't push it on, he did make the turn or the choice to not only make himself or go ahead and become, the only judge on the Moorish consular court, but only him, which is quite interesting. But even more so, shortly after that, creating the communication policy to even further limit the hierarchy or the order in which the Sultan can carry out, and which also, because of that, we all saw that there was something fishy going on. But I just wanted to state that right there for the moment before I.
That's a great point, Chief.
So they went to so
Hold
let
on
me
a
ask
second.
you.
Hold on.
And just real quick, I
Adrian,
gotta say
1 second.
something real quick. I have not said the background to either side yet because I have stayed neutral for so long in the hopes that at least one honorable judge can stay neutral during this whole investigation since I was that. And lo and behold, I've come down to my full conclusion if there was to be a judgment or but I got to respect investigations and everything, of course. But even still, so up to this matter, I see this. I know truth and I know the ancestors. Both are here.
Islam.
Point of interest. Let me say
Floor
this.
is yours.
It's Article 10 is not a mistake. Like I think it was Brother Buck or Brother North Star mentioned, when you look at the flow chart, it is the Sultan as the head of state, and then the Prime Minister, the is the head of the Wazir Council. The judge is the head of the judicial branch, the more judicial authority, and the speaker is above the house. And the Sultan presides over all of that. Who do the states belong to? The Sultan. Not me per se. This is not an attack on me. For the record. This ain't got nothing to do with Al-Kabir. This is an attack on the office of the Sultan.
Correct.
It's an attack on the office. And so it's the office which is linked to the empire that owns all the states. As such, that head of state shall and should have the absolute sovereign authority. Because what you have to understand is that the Sultan is the people. The people is who have the absolute sovereign authority that was vested into the Sultan from the people. So it's not a mistake. If there is a mistake, it's his malfeasance or his bad actor behavior, his sneaky behavior. But even worse, I ain't no damn Dre. That's really the problem. I'm not no Dre. And so when he started to realize that I was ancient, I was inching, right? Kind of how do I put it? Easing my way into the dispute with him. Easing my way into checking him. I can't just come in and check because everybody's in love. So I got to ease my way into it. When he started sensing that is when he made that statement. Oh, because he knows that Abdul Al-Kabir, Abdul Bey, Abdul Smith, all that, all the way from Negro to Moroccan. I don't play that. It doesn't matter about the title or nationality. It's about the core spirit of my heart. I yield.
Yes. Now, please tell me why, Morris. Y'all don't have to answer this. I just like to get your minds to thinking from a legal perspective. Why state on the record that you needed to amend the Constitution at Article 10 in the courthouse? You just admitted in front. You just admitted in front of the court that you have no clear understanding of Article 10. Am I right or wrong, Morris?
Right.
Right.
So because you recording, because they sent us the recording. Oh, you fancy, huh? You sent us the recording to state on the record that you need to amend your Empire Morocco's constitution for clarity, which means now your points that you made of Article 10 have no standing. Islam?
That's what I was just about to say. Like, how could they use Article 10? Because they using that a lot. But then in this document, they said they amend Article 10 because it's not
They
standing
said
clear.
they wanted to amend. They said they're going to amend Article 10. Sorry, mother. They wanted to. They're saying that they're going to amend Article 10 in the near future. But how can
That's
the
what I was
Sultan's
asking.
approved to sign off on it?
But let's focus on something. Let's focus on something. What's the reason?
It says to express clear language, but they also use that same article at the
But hold
end
on, let
of
me
this
get back. No,
document.
hold on, sister. Let me get to that. Let me get back over here. Let's come back over here. Because that language of Article 10, let's go look at it. Let's go look at it. I'm on the Constitution, and I want you, sister, to read it. Let's go up. Let's go up. Here we go. Here we go. Right here. Right there. Read that for me, please, sister.
Okay. It says the Sultan shall preside over the Prime Minister as the absolute sovereignty authority in all matters of political, legal, judicial, education, economic, social, and military affairs.
Okay, thank you. Now, is that not clear language? Is that language not clear enough? I yield.
Very clear. Okay, Sultan. If you guys, as y'all can see that this, hold on one second, everyone. Daughter, can you turn that down a little bit? Put your earpiece in. If you guys can see, this is clear and precise language. But now I'm going to go to the legal piece on how Jay Bey left those Moors standing to take the fall. Sultan, within that email, there's a link at the end. There's a link. So that email was sent to you. There's a link in that email. And this is going to be my final point on how Jay Bey left those particular Moors to take the fall. Can you
Okay,
go to that?
I'm gonna go get it, but let me stop the share because I don't want, the
No
email to
problem.
be good. Mhm.
And I need you to go to docket 6. Docket 6.
Okay, let me find it. Oh, summons. Okay, here we go.
Oh, you're fine. Take your time.
Let me share the screen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, which one is docket 6?
Okay. So you're gonna click on that link, and I need you to go to
Yeah.
docket 6. Should bring up a bunch of dockets, and go down to docket 6 and bring that up, please. Okay. Can you make it a little larger for me, good brother?
I just did.
Okay.
Need some more? Is that good or you need more?
Okay.
Okay.
So as y'all can see here, Chief Judge Jay Bey to Isaac, which is the second judge, Chief Judge Jay Bey has recused, what does it say? Request notice of recusal from the chair of the High Court. So the Chief Judge Jay Bey stepped down from the High Court, and he appointed an interim Chief Judge, which was Isaac Bey. So if you can do the honor, Cicero, but let's ask y'all a question right here. Why did Chief Judge recuse himself from this case?
Because he know he was wrong and he got caught.
Correct. And number 2, he's under investigation. Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
Correct.
So anything that's being done, not only does McCarr, because McCarr's name on here, and Justice Isaac will have blame for anything done publicly to humiliate or cause a defamation of character against the Sultan. So Chief Judge Jay Bey left them high and dry, recused himself from the High Court, so we cannot come back and say that he had any court hearings basically saying that he has punished the Sultan for any type of wrongdoing, for so-called wrongdoing. So he's recused from the whole case, that the so-called case that they sent to the High Court. He recused himself from.
And now keep in mind, if I may, and let me go back to the document. Everything you see written here is Jay Bey's pen. Every bit of it. Everything. The logo. Everything. Even this little smart judicial setup. Oh, you can't see. Oh, shoot. Oh, man. Hold on. I wish you guys would have told me. You guys let me know when you might not be able to see the screen. Okay, can you see the screen now? Okay. Can you all see the screen?
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
Okay.
Yes.
All of this, every bit of it, has been authored by J. Jermaine Bey. You can best believe that Makara can't do this, and Isaac surely can't either. None of them can. This is all J. Bey's. This is like he said in the meeting, in the recording. I'm the producer and director. I'm the man behind the scenes, pulling the strings. You're the lead actor, and everybody else are supporting actors. You're all placeholders in this grand play called The Empire of Morocco, produced and directed by Jay Bey. So that's him behind the screen, behind the scene, authoring up the documents, pulling the strings, i.e., conducting the coup d'etat. I yield.
So this is who those Moors has followed. Also on that docket list, they made Kendon the interim
We can't see the
prime
docket
minister.
list.
Hello?
We can't see the docket list right now.
Okay, let me go back
Okay.
to it.
Let's go back to the document. So you guys know that now you understand the legal aspect of J. Jermaine Bey recused himself from this whole motion to the court. So we can never come back on him saying, well, you was the one that brought these allegations against the Sultan. And they all signed off on it. This is his recusal letter. Now, who else accepted interim? Who
Which
else?
docket was it?
Oh, just go to the docket for the interim prime minister, the Kendon. Let's show the people who's complicit into the crime. They all signed off on this. Office of the interim judge.
This is the chief. This is the wrong one.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Office
Okay.
of the interim judge. That was Isaac.
Oh, yeah, that was him. Okay, go ahead. Yep.
Office of the interim judge. That was Isaac. He signed off on this notice by they took the position of the interim judge, which means that he's complicit in the crime against the Sultan. Continue. Let's see who else is complicit. Please go to the other interim letters.
So they passed a bill, the public law, so-called. It's all void.
But that doesn't even matter, Sultan, because at the end of the day, they can't pass any bills without you have to have approval, and those individuals that are supposed to be helping out with passing the bills or presenting the bills were under investigation.
Mm-hmm.
And Makar is complicit into the crime. So those bills are void ab initio at best.
This is one. Internal law, Makara L.
Yes. And she's complicit. So those bills are void ab initio at best.
Mm-hmm.
On the
Please
previous. So what they did, what they have done unknowingly is basically subjected themselves to the consequences that's in actions that's gonna fall behind what he did, knowing he did.
That's correct.
And he recused himself to avoid taking accountability.
Correct.
Yep.
And facing consequences for his actions as the chief judge orchestrated all this.
Correct.
Okay.
And
They all signed off on it.
This is what you call sedition. Treason.
Constitutional interpretations of what his powers were, he was actually still in the correct. And by me even informing Jay that, yeah, you messed up out loud and on the call. And that's why suddenly he recused. And he told me that he was going to fall back. But that was way before But he truly never did, and even still so, and even continue on, I'm sure a lot of documents will still be made and created by him. But either way, the only way I see it really coming.
So I
Now,
just want to say this, and
I yield.
thank you, Judge Situate. I just want to tell you, Morris, as the Sultan may call me his Attorney General one day. I look forward to that request. I just wanted to break down the legal aspect of what just happened. And I'm so excited that you guys understand what happened, because that's the first thing, is the understanding. And then some of you guys, the more you study, you're going to start to overstand. We've studied so much, we can understand, we overstand what he did. So this is the reason why I could break it down as efficiently, because this wasn't the first time that this was pulled. So thank you for allowing me to present that document. Thank you for allowing me, Sultan, to break down that document, break down the meanings, break down on why they're trying to muddy the waters and with their seditious activity and recusing themselves from the high court. Because any man that states all the time he's ready for the fight, then why recuse yourself from high court if you're ready for the fight? This is the biggest fight that you're ever going to be in. You're fighting the Sultan of the Empire of Morocco. There's no bigger fight than this. The colonist fight is not bigger than this. You're trying to say on the record, your legacy, Jay Bey has tainted his legacy. It's done. You never heard about this. You never heard about this legacy. You never heard about this with Malcolm Shabazz. Am I right or wrong, Morris?
Right.
Right.
You never heard about this with Martin Luther King. You never heard about this with the Sultan. You never heard of any of this that matter. And I know if he ever listens to this call, he's going to say, well, none of them was ever in statehood. Yeah, you're right. So you've been a part of 2 coups d'etats, 3 investigations in the matter of 5 years. Hopefully y'all heard what I just said. They have no leg to stand on. I yield. Peace and love to you all. And I look forward to our continued success within the Empire of Morocco.
Islam.
I like
Islam.
I like to ask the question before you go.
Yes, go ahead, good brother.
When you say he recused himself, okay, I know that means he stepped down, but is he still in the empire or what?
No, he recused himself from this case.
Oh, okay.
So everything that they tried to bring to this high court, he recused himself from it all, which it all falls back on them.
Okay, I got a clear understanding.
He didn't want no parts of it. Because let me tell you why. He looked at those documents that the Sultan had been writing to the United Nations on our behalf, and he says, oh, okay, y'all want to move forward? Go right ahead. But I got to go back in my chambers because I've been overstepping. He's been trying to be a politician instead of a judge. Last but not least, what judge do you know is teaching study sessions? Praise to him for teaching them. We needed him. But He should not even be teaching study sessions regarding international law, because those study sessions fall into political reform, political aspects.
Political reform.
Political reforms, so he's actually supposed to be recusing himself from teaching those impact study sessions. Now, when was he absolutely supposed to recuse himself? Now, you guys got to get what I'm saying. What did the Sultan just do a couple months ago? Who did he swear in to the MCC, the Moorish Consular Court? He finally sweared him in, right or wrong. Which date was that? Does anybody know that date where he finally swore him in to the MCC?
I don't recall the date.
Me neither.
But it was 2 months ago.
2 months ago. Well, on that particular date, Jay Bey should not have been teaching impact study sessions. He should have turned that over to one of the other Moors, because it has too much to do with political reforms. He's a judge of law. And like I said, not allowing the Moors to bring up their erudition to his. Al-Kabir taught classes. Conya Show Bey teach every week. But he was supposed to yield down and start to turn those impact study sessions, which they should not be called impact study sessions, because it gives everybody the perception, and nobody fell into it, because you hear her giggling and typing on the call on the impact study sessions. When he say something like the Moors couldn't read, she's giggling. Or when she says something bad about the Moorish Americans, she's giggling. He should have just recused himself. But I know that it's hard to stop teaching and everybody wants you to keep going. But it's 50% his fault. And who is the other 50% of the blame fall on, Moors?
Us Moors.
Correct. The people. The people. Amir Hassan Il, I hope you're listening. When you made the statement, who's going to write our document, it weakened our people, Amir Hassan Il. I hope you hear this recording one day. Because at that point, when you said who's going to write the document, at that point, you told the European government that we were weak and we did not have competency within our empire. And moreover, Amir Hassan Il, you weakened your own internal state. Because your Moroccans, your people that look up to you as the Wazir, knew at that point you can't get the job done. Peace and love to you all, Moors. Are you?
Peace and love.
Thank you, AG. Islam now. Now that this breakdown is fresh in your minds, right? Reviewing this not sure what to call it, kangaroo court document. Now let's perhaps the proclamation will make a little more sense. I'll preface by saying Jay Bey is not comfortable. Jay Bey is not confident. And neither should the rest of the so-called government officials who got sold on this conspiracy. Office of the Sultan of Morocco. Capital address, 5651 Coventry Lane, Fort Wayne, Indiana, 46804. Because the capital address was AMPAC 2.0's address. Can somebody please read what I highlighted on the title of this document?
The
What I've got
people.
highlighted. Okay, thank you. Why did I phrase it that way? Because the Sultan is the people. I don't know how many times I got to say this. You got to get this through our heads. There is no Sultan without the people. So when you say the Sultan owns all the states, that's really saying the people own all the states, literally. When it says that, when Article 10 says that the Sultan presides over the prime minister, the people preside over the prime minister. Do you understand what I'm saying? As such, I cannot coup d'etat the state. I can commit treason, but I can't coup d'etat the state. So, the People's Proclamation of Nullification and Judicial Restoration by His Sharif and Majesty Abdul Al-Kabir, Sovereign of the Sharifian Empire, to the government, the judiciary, and the people of the empire. Whereas the Constitution of the Empire of Morocco, in its supreme wisdom established in Article 75, Part 1, Section 1, that His Majesty the Sultan shall be the grantor of the independence of the Moorish judicial authority. And whereas by virtue of the supreme sovereign authority vested in our person by the Constitution of the Empire of Morocco, specifically under Article 10, and further empowered by the declaration of a state of emergency under Article 18 to confront a seditious conspiracy, we act as the ultimate grantor of the constitutional order. And whereas this sacred duty charges us with the solemn responsibility to protect the judiciary from all corruption, coercion, and subversion, whether from external forces or as now from a poisonous cancer within its own ranks. And whereas a seditious conspiracy led by the suspended Chief Judge Jay Bey and his confederates has utterly corrupted the judicial process, rendering it a weapon of personal ambition and political coup, thereby annihilating its independence and integrity. And whereas in defiance of our repeated directives and the principles of due process, this faction has convened a fraudulent proceeding before a so-called interim Chief Judge Isaac Bey in a direct and treasonous assault upon the office of the Sultan in violation of Article 81. Let it be known that this proceeding stands as the ultimate proof of judicial collusion and the complete abdication of constitutional order. The farcical nature of this proceeding, its blatant disregard for legal procedure, its reliance on pre-written documents authored by the suspended Jay Bey, and its malicious misinterpretation of the constitutional term high crimes demonstrates an incompetence and bad faith that is patently incompatible with the holding of judicial office. An independent judiciary cannot exist when its chiefs are conspirators, and a grantor cannot be silent while the institution he is sworn to protect is destroyed by its own guardians. Therefore, in solemn fulfillment of our constitutional oath under Article 75 to guarantee an independent judiciary, we hereby proclaim, 1, the fraudulent proceeding and its findings are declared null, void, and of no legal effect ab initio. It is expunged from the record as if it never existed. 2, Isaac Bey Mahdi Ale is hereby removed and permanently barred from any judicial or public office for his central role in this judicial charade, a kangaroo court, which has brought the entire judicial authority into disrepute. 3, Jay Bey is hereby stripped of all titles, privileges, and immunity. His authorship of The fraudulent proceedings documents provides irrefutable proof of his ongoing sedition and his fundamental betrayal of the judiciary. He is to be held for criminal prosecution. 4. Any judge or judicial official who participated in or endorsed this unlawful act is hereby suspended and will face immediate investigation for their complicity in the destruction of judicial independence. This is not an act against the judiciary, but an act for the judiciary. We are excising the corrupt to save the honorable. We will now appoint judges of proven integrity who understand that true judicial independence flows from fidelity to the Constitution, not from collusion with seditious factions. The Moorish judicial authority shall be restored to its rightful role as a pillar of our republic, independent, impartial, and free from the corruption of traitors. So decreed by the Sultan, grantor of the judicial authority. Long live the Moorish Empire and His Majesty the Sultan, Abdul Al-Kabir, given under our hand and the seal of our office. His Sharif and Majesty, Sovereign of the Sharif Empire, 6 October 2025. I hope this proclamation makes a little bit more sense now, because they're not giving you the full picture. But that's what someone who has nefarious activities and agendas, they cannot operate in the light. They must operate in the dark. They must recuse themselves into their chambers. Now that the light has been exposed, they got to take a step back. You see? But the whole time he's always been behind the scenes, pulling the strings. So the real mistake was thinking that I was a damn fool. For the record, I am his best student. And what we're looking at is a classic case in which the student became the master. I yield.
I second that.
Point of privilege. Is it a way we can get a copy of his recusal letter?
Yes, this is public law.
Okay.
You'll get a copy of all that in this recording.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, that way, because this is an educational moment, learning moment.
Yes, it is.
It absolutely it absolutely is. It's a learning moment so that you see. Let me say this, and I just like the Attorney General mentioned that he was hoping that Amir Hassan El was listening. Well, I'm hoping Isaac El Manti Bey is listening. See, Moors, I'm battle tested. This is not new to me. This isn't even chess. This is checkers. My first impeachment, and this is my second one. Let me say this for the record. My first impeachment with my first Sayaraha, Empress, was the same exact thing. Violation. And by the way, Watson Ali was the Consul General of AMPAG during this time. For the record, they had a fraudulent proceeding to impeach me. Watson Ali never conducted an investigation. There was no investigation. The Sayaraha did not call for an investigation. However, the judge of AMPAG, Isaac Bey, drafted the impeachment documents. At the time, because obviously we were a political group forming that just recently became recognized. So we're still learning. This is the period in which he was my master teacher, so-called, quote unquote, let's say my teacher, mentor. So I called him to tell him what happened. He said, let me call Isaac. Isaac calls me. I apologize. Jay told me that I violated your due process. So he had to retract it. Then what else did he teach me? He told me to, if you're ever in the right, always write an affidavit and watch the other person scramble and run away. So basically everything that happened then happened again today. I wrote an affidavit and he started scrambling. He didn't submit a counter affidavit. He did not allow the investigation to flow. After all, if you're innocent, then why not stand before the council and express your innocence? The due process was afforded. So instead, he orchestrates a coup, which was already ongoing covertly. It was a covert coup that became an overt coup. And who got implicated in it? Isaac Bey again. Again. So I would ask Isaac, was there an investigation? No. Was I questioned for the record before the people or a council or a judge or anything? No. Is that not the same thing that Empress did, Isaac? Jay? So what makes it any different now? What makes it any different now? I'll tell you what makes it different. That Jay is involved and he's guilty. And so as I've stated already, based on the proclamation, the people's proclamation of nullification and judicial restoration, we had to restore the Moorish judicial authority. It was turned into a clown show. It's embarrassing. This is why I've stated for the record, and I'll say it again. All of those who are complicit are weak, incompetent, and unfit to govern a people. I yield for any further questions. Do we have any questions?
Point of privilege.
Yeah.
When y'all said Amir asked who's gonna write these documents.
Yes.
Who wrote these documents that you showing us?
That's the point. So when he says,
You know what I'm saying?
now mind you, the energy is okay, I may agree, but then if we did remove him, which that wasn't a discussion, it was
Right.
again, it was investigation. So that was the point. If we remove, in other words, if he's found guilty and he's removed, then who is going to write the documents?
I
You.
want to go. I'm
No,
sorry.
hold on. Let me say one more thing. Now that I'm on this point at this subject matter, because then the question was placed upon me, my ability to write, or what have I ever written? Mind you, Allodium Moorish Radium of New Mecca, since its inception, has always been a half-ass state. There is no wazir that comes close to me. None. When he questions me about writing any policies or things for the state, I have one currently retroactively being used right now as we speak. Sister Shalima sits in that office. It's called the Office of Government Organization that did not exist. So I drafted a bill to establish it, and it's still in operation today. And oh, by the way, it's not the only one. I've written 4 bills for AMPAC, and oh, by the way, None of them has my name on it. If you go back on the record, you won't see my name on any bill. Why is that? Because I gave that credit to others. Amir, learn leadership and learn government, sir. I yield.
Consul General Conya Show Bey here. I just received the text. The text I received from Amir Kane Ill stated to me that Kyrie Bey of AMPAG is removing himself for an investigation from the investigation. Well, you say, well, okay. So right there, they stated for the record again that they understand that they're under the Consul General, Amir Kane Ill, and AMPAG, Allodium Morse Ante Colorado, still see those officials as under investigation. I have that text message as of 2 minutes ago. I said, will do. So they're recognizing that those officials are under investigation. And by you recognizing that those officials are under investigation, Consul General Amir Kane Ill, why haven't you told them that their documentation in their court proceeding is void ab initio? Because the Department of Constitution is independent while there's an investigation looming for impartiality purposes.
Now, let me bring your attention to something else, and thank you for that, AG.
Puts them in a very,
I guess you
and
still
it
talking.
puts them in a very sad, and it puts them in a very sad place because they're all complicit because they allowed that proceeding to go on. I yield.
Thank you, AG. Let me paint another picture here. I want to paint a picture of honesty, fairness, transparency. See, that's the number one part, transparency. That's my spirit. I'm a transparent person, nothing to hide. I'm also a very fair person and very honest and honorable. He has tried to paint a picture of me being this tyrant, radical monarch. Okay. Let me show you the truth based on my paper trail. What started everything was this. What is this? This document. I failed to title it, and that's my apologies on that, but this is the veto, the policy veto. You see at the bottom here, these proposed policies under a bill of consideration authored by Chief Judge Jay Bey are incongruous and unconstitutional, therefore has earned my veto. It's a veto document. So I should have highlighted it at the top to show it. But nonetheless, this is the veto. Look at the date, 29 September 2025. This is what started everything. Fast forward. So the veto, again, is according to Article 5, Section 8. And it doesn't require a countersign. Let's go back to it. Article 5, Section 8. Just like the court proceedings, fraudulent court proceedings in which they're considering amending Article 10 for clearer language. Well, this language is also clear. With written cause, His Majesty the Sultan is entitled to veto any government act, right, passed by the Speaker or the Prime Minister without delay. There's nothing else that says anything else. It doesn't say it requires a counter signature from the Prime Minister. So the veto is absolutely valid. But what the problem is the contents. the reasons, the written cause as to why it was vetoed for detected nefarious activity. I mean, do I not have the right to veto something based on what I consider detected nefarious activity regarding all that's being discussed here? Okay, fair enough. Let's move on. So then comes the affidavit on 1 October, Constitution crisis and sedition in the Empire of Morocco. Let's go down to what we just discussed, which is the conclusion and petition. Suspend, not remove, suspend these officials pending the conclusion of this investigation. What did I say here? Immediately commence a formal and exhaustive investigation. Why do I want it to be exhaustive? Because I want us to get to the truth. I don't want to make an allegation like this. This is a serious allegation. Sedition? That's a very serious allegation. So I need the investigation to be exhaustive. I need you to go, turn over every rock you find to determine the truth behind this. I hope I'm wrong, but what I'm seeing is this. It is what it is. So let's look into this. That's all it is. So exhaustive investigation of these what did I call it? Allegations. It's an allegation. You're not automatically guilty because you have an opportunity to do what? Right? Where is it at? Right here. 2, provide a sworn testimony before the council. Right? So summon the named officials, Nova Ilu L, DeAndre Dre Bey, and J. Jermaine Bey to provide sworn testimony before the council. What else did I ask for? Issue a binding ruling on the constitutionality of these actions with all possible what? Speed. Let's not procrastinate on this. Let's get it done. Why? Because these officers everything needs to be restored back to normal operation. There was Consul General at the time suspended the government operations for 14 days. So, I just don't know how much fairer can I be. This is very fair. So, what happens? They make some other move. These are all chess moves. They make a move, I make a move. They make a move, I make a move. So after this affidavit comes a state of emergency. Why? Because it came to my attention that they were seeking to get ahead of my state of emergency to do their own state of emergency, similar to what they did with AMPAC when they had Brittany. They used a woman, they put her in the front. They had a state of emergency video in which she laid out the particulars. So I saw the playbook. I've already seen it. So I got ahead of it. So I drafted a state of emergency address, which, by the way, the way how I found out about this was because J. Jermaine Bey sent Luis Vega a text message telling him that the speaker is going to give an address. Right? Perhaps it was he probably knew that Luis Vega was on the side of the empire and the Constitution. So it was an attempt to throw me off. What you guys don't realize is that this is a chess match that's going on between me and Jay. You might consider it a 5D chess match. It really is. And this is why a lot of people are confused. But him and I are very clear. Trust me when I tell you this. So what happens? I issue a state of emergency address to combat that emergency address. State of emergency address. And what did I call for in the state of emergency? Yet again, mind you, 4th of October. Look at the dates. Right? Let's see. Look at the dates. It's all sequential order. 3 days later, I come with the state of emergency because you're still not answering the questions. Okay. So what did I say as one of my measures to deal with this state of emergency. Effective immediately, I am invoking Article 18 and declaring a state of emergency. This is not an attack on our democracy. Rather, it is a surgery to remove a poisonous cancer from it, with the understanding that I may exercise these emergency powers only for the good of the people. See, the Sultan has to be cognizant. The Sultan has to be responsible. You just don't enact Article 18 just to enact Article 18. There has to be a clear and present danger. Under this authority, I will take the following measures to restore constitutional order. Now, under this authority, I could have done way worse than what I called for. Hear what I'm saying? I could have done way worse, because when you under a state of emergency, your emergency powers was also considered sweeping powers, which means that you basically have the powers of a tyrant. But that's to do it for what? For what? The good of the people. And so, as such, it's limited to 30 days to deal with the insurgency or the threat, right? And then 30 days later or sooner, hopefully we resolve the threat in due time, and everything goes back to normal constitutional operation and order. So with these sweeping powers that they're saying that I'm abusing as one of their counts, this is what I asked for. The suspended officials, the Prime Minister, the Chief Judge, and the Executive Chief of Staff of the ANPAC 2.0 faction are hereby required to answer up to the allegations laid out in my affidavit. Stop running and masterminding. Answer the questions before the judges, the government, and the people. Your due process is recognized and in full effect. Prove your innocence. By this time, I could have exercised those powers to remove people. Still haven't removed anyone. I'm still saying answer the questions. Why you keep running, sir? Answer the questions. You running and masterminding. How much fair can I get, y'all? But yet they're saying, oh, he's a monarch, so on and so forth. He's abusing his power. No, I'm using my power for fairness, not abuse. Okay? So then what? After this comes what? The charades, right? The shenanigans. This thing here that embarrasses the Moorish judicial authority. So that's the next chess move he comes with. This foolishness right here. This fraudulent proceeding, violating Article 81, and maliciously misinterpreting the term high crimes, and maliciously misinterpreting Article 10, and maliciously defining presides. This is the reason why I said in my affidavit, at the bottom of it, at the conclusion of it, and let me highlight it in a special color. Let's do, let's say pink. A Moroccan judge of the empire must be impartial, honest, upright, and honorable. And Jay Bey fails at these necessary attributes. You're an honorable judge, an honorable man, an honorable person, someone of high character would either A, prove their innocence if they're innocent, or if they're guilty, they would be accountable and plead for forgiveness. There's only one or two things that an honorable man would do rather than to slither your way around the situation. So then what happens? They come with the fraudulent impeachment, and then I delivered, we just went over, the proclamation by the people, which is what? What's the date? October 6th? Now we're talking removed. Isaac, Jay Bey, stripped. There's nothing else. There's anything else. I mean, what do you want me to do? I was very fair. I didn't come out removing people as they're trying to present it. I came out with and a veto that became an affidavit, which led to an investigation, which led to a state of emergency, which then became a proclamation to do what? Remove these bad actors, which I haven't got started with the wazirs yet, with the wazir council, but they have been addressed in the state of emergency. No, this is not it. I believe it's in the state of emergency. Yes, it is. The Speaker of the House is hereby suspended, not removed. The Speaker of the House is hereby suspended from her duties pending a full investigation into her role in this conspiracy, not removed, suspended. You know why? Because it's a delicate situation dealing with the Speaker. My powers over the House is a little different than my powers over the judiciary and the Wazir Council is direct and is absolute. With the Speaker, it's somewhat indirect, still absolute, and it all depends. In a situation such as this, a state of emergency, because again, the Sultan's tentacles reaches everywhere. Because the people is the Sultan and the Sultan is the people. Okay. 3, any wazirs or officials who has abated this plot will be immediately identified. So first, we got to identify you. Correct? Then, we got to investigate you. Still following the due process, even with these sweeping powers. And then, upon that conclusion, if you're found guilty, guess what? Removed. So it didn't go straight to removal. It said, identify. So first, we got to identify you. Then we got to investigate you. Then we'll remove you if you're found guilty. I can't be any fairer than that. 4, I will appoint interim trusted leaders to restore integrity to these posts and ensure your government functions for you, the people. And then finally, effective immediately, all political groups forming shall be recognized and onboarded without further delay. Why? Because it's a small government, and we need and being as though people are getting ready to be removed for their malfeasance, their sedition, and many are being influenced. But I need to fill these posts. Where else am I going to get honest and upright people, or at least to give them a chance to prove themselves? That's the political groups forming. So it only makes sense to recognize them to now fill this post, these positions that are now being moved around due to this state of emergency because of what? Bad actor behavior. It was very disappointing to see the government operate like that. They all rushed to encapsulate Jay. Instead of no one said, no, let's just go through the investigation. It's just an investigation. What's going on? Why the upheaval? No, everyone is just bought into it. This was amazing. This is cult mindset, which is why I have no words for any of these so-called officials. I'm here to decolonize, not play games with Jay Bey, not play games with nothing or no one. We're here to get the job done. And we've been procrastinating for far too long. He has been delaying our justice. I'll say it again. Jay Jermaine Bey has been delaying our justice. And I can prove it. At any rate, so this is the state of emergency address. So it wasn't until the proclamation that I removed Isaac, stripped Jay Bey, and removed him as well. And I'm not done. But I had to get this one out of the way because it's dealing with the Moorish judicial authority in which they used it in a manner in which brought shame to not only the empire and the judiciary, but also the people. We're in these varying stages trying to rise up, and this is the type of foolishness we got to deal with, internal colonialism. So that's the reason why, along with this proclamation, came this depository document to who? The United Nations and the C-24, correct? In which I'm letting them know about my office has identified a malicious faction called Impact 2.0, claiming to be what? So-called beacons of light. And what am I asking from What am I asking of them? Well, first of all, let's identify the parties. Key officials, including the former Prime Minister, DeAndre Dre Bey, the former Chief Judge, Jay Bey, and the former Speaker of the House, Makara Ib, have been found colluding. But what am I asking then? What am I asking of the United Nations and the C24? Right? It's a double-edged sword, if you will, a double approach. Formal recognition of this communication and my government as the sole legitimate authority of the newly re-emerging Empire of Morocco during this decolonization process. We're seeking that recognition now. So we're opening the door to start pounding and pushing to get the C24 involved and the United Nations to assist us as we go through these varying stages of advancement. Continuing. Immediate assistance and guidance. Immediate assistance and guidance from the C24 to navigate this critical juncture and complete our decolonization procedure, freeing us from this last remnant of what? What are we dealing with here, Moors? And I'm here to decolonize, and I don't care who you are, whether it be Jay Bey or whomever. Internal colonial interference. Recalling that Article 73B of the Charter calls for our assistance in our progressive development of our free political institutions as we go through our varying stages of advancement. 3, what am I asking them? What else am I asking them to do? Because what's going to happen now that Jay Bey is doing what? Let's go back to the state of emergency address. What is Jay Bey doing? Right here. Excuse me. What happened? Ooh, let me show you what Jay Bey is doing. Which means, oh Lord, why is my document jumping? Which means, I know the next chess move. Right here. What is he doing? I assumed the nationals of the empire, who's been through the worst of human rights violations imposed by foreign powers, were seeking a strong and resolute sultan. But if your preference is a string puppet sultan, then DeAndre Dre Bey is your best option. Under a new regime that is currently being instituted and inaugurated by one bad actor, Jay Bey. Okay, so as such, if you're going to institute and inaugurate a new regime, you're going to have to deposit that documentation, that administrative reform, with who? The United Nations. You see? So what did your sultan do? Got ahead of it and sent this document to the United Nations to let them know vigilance against any fraudulent claims or documents submitted by the illegitimate AMPAC 2.0 faction led by the disgraced and removed Chief Judge Jay Bey and the removed Prime Minister DeAndre Dre Bey, purporting to be the so-called interim sultan. This is an attempted coup. Thank you very much. Drop the mic. So now what happens? They're gonna have to, if they need to you have to legitimize what you're doing. So you have to report it to the United Nations. Well, that's gonna raise a red flag. Because all they're gonna say is, well, this is what the Sultan was talking about. Mind you, don't get it twisted, they may already know. Which is why they're not reaching out to us. Because the empire is corrupt from within. And it's clear when you watch the AMPAC study sessions. You see it with the AMPAC study sessions, a judge teaching classes. He should have been the consul general. He keeps saying, I could have been the Sultan. I could have been the Sultan. Okay, well, then you should have been the Sultan. I don't care about all that. I want to decolonize. But it just so happened that out of all the wazirs, I'm the one that's strong and resolute, aside from Akil. He's the only one that comes close to me, which is, interestingly enough, why during the campaign, he's the only one who came close to me. I almost lose to Akil. I won because of AMPAG, who now have turned on me because they're in their feelings because I held them accountable for personal allegiance Not realizing that all I did was just bark on you, but I put the pin on AMPAC 2.0. So what did I just show there? Impartiality and seriousness. If I bark, I'm not going to bite. I'm just warning you. But if I stay quiet, that's when you might want to be careful. That's when you want to get nervous. Much the same way, currently, right now, as we speak, Jay Bey is nervous. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Do you see the clarity in what I just delivered here regarding my fairness and upholding the rule of law as it relates to the due process? I yield.
All right. Are there any questions or comments from anybody on the floor before we shift gears here? Because there is some questions I like to ask the Sultan as it relates to in the direction he'd like to take this meeting. But before we get there, I'd like to yield the floor for any questions or comments anybody may have.
Yes, Interim Chief Judge Bey here. I just want to make a point, an understanding, a reminder of everybody. I was the one who originally drafted all the oaths for the Empire of Morocco and everybody's positions. I was the one who did everyone's, at least the majority of everyone's oaths. And there was two parts I had to make sure that was in each oath, in everyone's oaths. And those two parts were the oath to the Constitution and His Majesty the Sultan. Two parts of that, even Jay Bey taught us that with specificity as to why. And just want to remind everyone the relationship that goes with everyone here, because I believe this recording is going to send off a certain vibration to those who were unaware. I do feel the other side, as it may right now be, I feel like the majority of those they were either manipulated, intimidated, a bit either incompetent, and those who voted, I believe they voted emotionally and not so much with a sound mind or even sound constitutional mind when they made those moves on with Jay Bey's assistance on paperwork and procedures, so it may have. But I just want to just point that out right there that this could have been prevented and stopped if communication was made and honesty for them. I truly tried to stay peaceful the whole time, and both parties know that, both the Sultan and Jay. I would say I was the one who was showing them both the mirrors of themselves to truly come to themselves and for each other. It hurts me that they had this dispute, but I understand why, which is why, as you see, I'm giving certain breakdowns. I just want to put on the record because I know I still haven't even said everything that I know, and yet I'm gonna leave it for there because I still hope that those who are on the other side hear this and they come over or they start to recognize the truth and who they're dealing with. And the last part I want to say before I yield myself is to fairly give a good background to who I am, because in the understanding and experience where I come from, it might give better attention as to my attention to detail. I never missed honor roll when I was in school, except for one time in fourth grade, literally one time, but I was a straight A student. I got a full ride academically to college to become a doctor. I ended up becoming a serial entrepreneur instead, where I raised millions of dollars for several companies. You can look on my Facebook. I'm not hiding. I show it all. You can look at my history of my Facebook, unlike other people who don't have certain social medias yet, but at the same time, I would say, and I also was even a sheep of a temple. I actually dropped a lot of my entrepreneur experiences because of my understanding. I got into real estate school in the truth of our allodial state, which got me into studies of Moors. I learned this on a natural way, and also with my brother, who also is a Sheik of the Moorish American, entire of the Indiana, but nonetheless, I'm sure he may come through. But anyway, because I don't want to vent or go off into a tangent, but I just want to say that uh, me being a judge and being very specific with words uh, in the interpretation of the matter at hand, I think it's clear that even leading up to Abdul's becoming Sultan, that he was truly a good student. I was even a student under him. Not first Jay, yes, and then Abdul started teaching. I heard all of them. I even realized and learned and saw his progression and his understanding. I want to note for all those who were listening, for going through Jay's class at the time, early on, given all of this, Jay would teach it so well that it was so hard for us to ask questions because we had nothing to say. But Abdul was the only one who could even come up with questions and very good questions because his mind was already there in a way of understanding international law and our people. Yes, characteristic traits, we all have those. But when it comes down to it, when he's live, he puts on the right face. But when he speaks to us, he can be himself. Come on, y'all. And that's why I say the emotional part and how the people may view him maybe miscued. Because I know when it's time for business, he's clear, and I like that, and I know he's passionate about it. So I just wanted to say a lot of that, and I hope that I give good vibrations to those who do listen in on this and just think for a moment and recognize, yes, there's a lot of facts on some things, but the truth shall win in the end. And I hope everyone has a good time, a good night. I yield because I must go to bed. I got work in the morning.
There's
Peace and love.
brother. You made some good points, and thank you for what you stated. And I need to address that. There is, I carry or I view things in a macro versus micro perspective, uh, and also view us as a family. Now, I have to view things as a macro perspective because that's my job. Uh, it's condensed from the macro to the micro, the world, all the way down to Ampag, the micro of the micro west, and even beyond that. What Judge Cicero is alluding to is situational awareness. I'm of the mindset that even depending on how official the meeting is, it's still amongst us Moroccan family members. It's just how I look at it. I do know the difference. There's different levels of official meetings. Like this is an official meeting, but an official unofficial meeting versus a very professional setting or situation. Now you also have settings outside of the empire, foreign podcast, if you will, CNN, BBC, maybe a Zoom discussion with Ibrahim Traore for the world to see, right? This is where situational awareness comes in. What I may say privately amongst us is not necessarily what I would say publicly for the world to see. Situational awareness. And I can give you a perfect example. When we did our public inauguration for AMPAG, the officials were nervous because they know how I talk privately, but they don't know, they've never experienced my public presentation. So when I was done, or when I was done with the public inauguration, or should I say this, my speech, they were shocked and they felt good and confident about me being their wazir. This is what they were really giving me a lot of kudos and honors and credit for that public inauguration speech because they thought that I was going to be belligerent because I talk crazy privately. You see, I don't have a stick up my behind, I'm just free flowing. I'm just me. I'll just be myself. Like I keep telling, I've always told y'all when I was a chairman, brother North Star recalls in my classes, he would just refer to me as chairman. I'm like, man, just call me Abdul. I'm the homie from around the block. That's how I see myself. I'm super down to earth, not on a high horse. So I don't walk around like that. I don't have that vibe. I have that, the homie vibe, the friendly vibe. So the family member vibe. So when we're in our private session, sometimes I might say some things that could potentially be viewed as out of order. But you can trust and believe that on a public setting, I mean private, public setting, I should say, yes, media, CNN, whoever, I, I I think that I would more than have the situational awareness to have the proper presentation to represent the Empire of Morocco. Um, I don't. I can talk without cursing. I can talk without slang. But when I'm in a private setting with my people, I might talk with a little cursing, and I might talk with a lot of slang. That's not necessarily what I would do publicly if I was being interviewed on CNN. Now, the other thing to consider is I ain't no damn Carlton Banks either. So you're not going to see that type of presentation. This is what I feel I was being molded to be. That's not me. I'm more like Fresh Prince. Ain't no Carlton Banks. So even on a private, even in the public, I'm not gonna carry myself as a Carlton Banks per se, or either Fresh Prince. Somewhere in the middle, I'm just me. I think that I'm well spoken, and I'm the best that we've got. Now, there is a thing to say about having a publicist and uh, speech uh, instructors and coaches, mentors to sharpen or refine me. That will come, and I'm accepting of it. However, in these varying stages, with absent of that, trust me when I tell you, I will represent us the right way. I'm the best we got. So with that, I yield. Any questions, comments, concerns before we close out? I would say this, Prime Minister. It was already 10 o'clock. We would have to do another meeting. This meeting, obviously, this meeting went a little bit longer than we expected. It was a lot to cover, a lot to touch on, to really bring clarity to what has really transpired. The real truth, we just exposed it based on the uh, uh, judicial proceeding document thingy. I can't give it any honor or recognition because it's void ab initio and it's been exposed. Nonetheless, we'll have to do another meeting because folks, what we were going to do is discuss the next steps, positions, and things of that nature. But considering the nature of this recording, that right there will be somewhat private, meaning for the new empire. This recording, it's for AMPAC 2.0 and all its um agents, right? Meaning all the recognized states, being AMPAG, ISR, DMT, New Mecca, AMPAC. That's the AMPAC 2.0. That's the deep state. That's the cabal. They're all implicated. They all are complicit. I make no distinction. I'm absolutely clear. It has been absolutely confirmed. They have all acquiesced to the directives of Jay Bey and his cabal to excommunicate the Sultan and to move forward with a fraudulent proceeding under the guise of me overthrowing the government or performing a coup. For the record, it was established that these people are not fit to govern a people. I'll say it again. They are weak, incompetent, in fellowship, cult fellowship, not just fellowship, cult fellowship. It's embarrassing. We're supposed to be strong, resolute warrior Moors to defeat colonialism. Not to violate our Constitution in its inception. And so I declare for the record, AMPAC, DMT, New Mecca, ISR, and AMPAG are all under a state of emergency in which all those offices need to be filled with competent, upright Moors, government officials. That must be known for the record. Subsequent correspondence will come soon, in the very near future. I hope that's clearly understood for the record. So we'll reconvene. I'm not sure. We'll discuss another date and time. Tomorrow may or may not be good. I guess we can say, Prime Minister, good brother Kanye, Attorney General, what is your thoughts for tomorrow? And also, do the people think that they will be able and willing to attend again tomorrow to now discuss the next steps?
I think it will be sufficient. But I'll also put that question on the floor, if give a general consensus to see if everybody's willing to meet tomorrow. I personally think it'll be a shorter meeting, being that it'll be more direct, potentially shorter. But I'd like to pose that question for the floor.
Well, this is Daryl Day, and I say yes because I'm off tomorrow and I can attend a meeting for sure.
This is Buck from BC. I say yes.
This is Joe Overdale from VC. I agree as well. I say yes.
DC.
Okay.
Yes.
This is Sayaraha Shalet from IMA. Yes, we should be there, no problem.
Okay, well, it's settled.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Morris, for your attention to this matter. It's very critical. It's very important. It's of high importance. We're talking about a conspiracy or sedition, which I believe that's the reason why we haven't been reached out. Trust me when I tell you, a trained eye watching our meetings can clearly see the seditious activity. It's clear. You know, once you see something, you can't unsee it. I too at one point placed much full trust in this gentleman and all of his associates. But the time came in which came to the full realization. My third eye opened. Mind you, there's always one eye open, but all three opened up. And I don't do leashes or strings. And this is the reason why the statement was made. Oh, I messed up with Article 10. Yeah, because you're dealing with me. It wouldn't have been a problem if it was DeAndre. Oh, it's not a problem at all. But a man such as myself, as impartial as I am, I care less about what you did. I'll say it again. I wrote the Constitution. I did all this work. We did all this work. We're the beacons of light. I taught all these classes. That's wonderful. We appreciate it. But at the end of the day, I care not what you did, who you are, what your age is, what your gender is, what your height is, what your nationality is, what is your color, ethnicity. There's only one question, and that is your character. Especially as a judge of the Moorish judiciary, of which I'm the grantor of its independence. I take my job serious. So what I just did was my job, and it was exhausting. It was stressful. But at the same time, it was child's play. And it's only that because of the difference between truth and lies, the light and the darkness. I was operating in the light, in the grace of the light, marvelous light bestowed upon me by the Almighty. The other faction was operating in the dark. And that's the reason why. It was child's play. It was checkers, not chess. Prime Minister, could you please close this out?
Yes. So excellent meeting. Again, we'll reconvene tomorrow at the same time. 6:45 is when we'll open up the meeting, but we'll be actually starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time, which is 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So again, good meeting. The next meeting will again be discussing the next steps. So we look forward to that. I thank you all for attending today's meeting. Be on the lookout for the same link. It'll be the same link. All right. Just in case you don't know, but I'll also resend the link to everybody's email or registrars. All right. So thank you all for attending. We'll end this meeting here at 8:23 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Peace and love. Long live the Empire and His Majesty the Sultan.
Peace and love.
Love everybody.
Long live the Moroccan
Peace and love,
Empire,
Empire, and His
Majesty,
Love the
Majesty.
Empire.
Sultan,
Unbelievable.
one people under one state. We are one nationality, Islam.
Right. Islam.
One
Islam.
nationality, good brother.
That's right. Islam.
Islam.